You're watching my favorite YouTube channel. I'm here with BJ Kicks. His YouTube channel is called Comics Are Dope.
Yes, sir. What's up?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing pretty good. Last week was the first time we talked to each other. But it
Yeah,
feels like you know,
we found our way in each other's comments. Talk on the Twitter sphere or the
yeah,
X sphere, I guess.
plenty of mutuals between us. I didn't know Mark Lynn knew you like that. I knew
Yeah,
Sipintosh knew you. I knew that.
yeah, yeah. Nah, because Markland, I didn't realize he was the House of Nerd show. Like, cause I had found out about that show through a different co-host. I guess apparently there was controversy there. I don't know,
Oh,
but
really? First time hearing of this.
eh, yeah, I don't
No,
know.
yeah. I know what you mean.
but but yeah, so yeah, we got plenty. I think the comic book community is small. People don't realize how small it is. But if you really like start to investigate, you'll see the same names like all over the place.
Yeah, and for the most part, we get along for the most part. Like the YouTubers, I feel like we
Yeah.
all okay, not all. Of course, that's hyperbole, but we get along. But not like how do I put this? The creators, the
Mm-hmm.
creators really want to have a problem
Mm-hmm.
with politically. I'll say with
Yep.
guys who go right, and I don't lean right wing. I'm not that type of person. If you guys just met me, but I
Right.
feel like the creators, rather than like let's unite, let's focus on our similarities. It's just oh that guy in his bio it says the word conservative. It says patriot. It's oh okay. Well, you know what? We're not even gonna bother trying to find some common ground here.
Yeah.
I feel that way.
There's a lot of like just the weird tribalism in comics, but yeah, it is, and it's like I'm blocked by a few people that I've literally
Hmm.
never interacted with, and I don't interact with anyone else either. Like it's not like I said something to somebody else about someone. I literally like am never on Twitter. So I think there's like this thing where you just kind of go through who's following who. And I'm a
Yeah, and you
naive person that just kind of
automatically.
follows all the comic people. So
I think Al Ewing is somebody who's just got like a computer where if you've been blocked and you follow this person and you guys are
mhm,
close enough, the computer knows to block you also just by association. It's
right,
supposed to make your Twitter experience better. It's just
apparently.
like it's too big wide of a net to get people. We're not here to talk politics. We're here to talk about race. A much more easier topic. I honestly I can talk about politics all I can talk about race. I can do both.
Easily digestible, you know?
On the comics are dope
Mhm,
website, you told me the last time we spoke
mhm,
to read this article that you had. You
yep,
said that you're a little bit more of yourself, or you're a little more pulled. You're tamer on YouTube. That's how way you put it. You put it that way.
yeah, and, I actually wanted to change my name up here. I should change it to, Chiller Monger. I feel like I'm a bit more chill.
If you're
Uh,
more chill. Hey, but look, some people forget the second part. I'm a monger also. Like,
right, right, but, yeah, no, and it's not so much that I'm different because I think I say what I need to say wherever I need to say it, but I know with a topic that can be as incendiary as how we're handling race at the big two. If I were to make this a video, somebody would just clip like the worst 12
oh
seconds of it, and that'd be the representation of me online. It's like let's put all my words where they can't be misconstrued. So that's where the blog comes in.
yeah, readers wouldn't misconstrue. Readers got more integrity, and so the snippet that I'm gonna point out is
Mhm.
when you said, "I can see the conversation with my daughter now. Hey, Misty Knight looks cool, right? What where else can you find her? Well, she's kind of in the Miles Morales book, but it's not really about her. But maybe they'll do another story with her next February."
Yeah.
That's the conversation you saw yourself having and forced. Did you eventually talk to your daughter? What's going on, Marklin?
What's up, y'all?
What's
Hello.
up? What's up?
Technical
No,
difficulties as usual, but I made it. In record time
but,
for me.
but word.
What's up, BJ?
What's up? What's up? Good to see you. But yeah, so I mean, to answer your question, I guess to give further context, right? The reason we're here, we're talking about the problem with DC Power and Marvel's voices, right? DC Power, besides being a terribly SEO unfriendly name for anything, um, you know,
I
the
don't
my,
get that. DC power. Does that have to do with like
oh,
innuendo
you're
of?
Canadian, yeah. So in America, there's like two types of power converters. There's AC and DC, hence the name of the band, right? So when you type in
Oh,
DC Power,
ACDC.
when you type in DC Power on Google, like all you get are like electronic adapters. Like you
mm.
don't get this comics anthology.
Okay, I'm so apologetic for getting your thought process swayed. I hope you didn't lose the train of thought.
You're good. You're good. Nah, so we're talking about, my personal issue with the way the Big Two handles, celebrations of Blackness in comics. I think every February we get the Marvel's Voices or the DC Power, and it's like there's this big song and dance. Like I think the tagline is celebrating Black excellence in the DCU for DC, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Across the
And
DCU. That's it.
across DCU, and we'll get these really cool stories, and they're, to their credit, they're plucking up and coming creators off of the interwebs. Maybe they had some cool like creator owned success, or they're big on Twitter, or they're big in some other space. And so they're giving these people a chance to do like a quick 8-10 page story, whatever it is. And then we never hear from that creator, nor do we hear about the character they got to work on, right? Like there's a Jackson Hyde story, and there's a Black Manta and whoever, like anyone Black. And it's like, all right, we'll put them all in this book. And so my issues are kind of twofold. One, I have to spend like all of my money for comics in this 1 month because this is just the month for Black characters. But then also, where are we going from here? So in my opinion piece, I just talked about how, it feels performative. Like it feels like the latest in like a swath of let's do this thing to show Black people we care about Black people. And it's not really limited to DC or Marvel or really any one industry. Like you get the Black History Month commercials on Target. Like it's just all over the place. It's like, here's this performative allyship. And then we'll put y'all back in the box, until next February. Yes, pandering is another way I would put it.
You said something I disagree with.
Okay.
You said that it was for Black people. This is for white people who will be confused. This is not for anybody. This is not for the advancement of anybody else. It's just this will satisfy that straight out of college, got the pie graph always in mind of representation. How if we ignore February, then we're doing a racism. So therefore, we got to make the people of color happy, and I think that's what that is.
Yeah. So for as much as there are things to celebrate about, DC Power and Marvel's Voices, namely the talent that they spotlight, I bought both issues this year. I thought the Marvel's Voices issue did a great job of just sort of really putting it in or framing it in historical context, right? Like they've got the spotlight on Dennis Cowan. He did an interview in there, and then John Jennings wrote a pretty strong foreword, and then there's a biography, like a little profile on some Marvel Comics artist from yesteryear that was Black that you didn't know was Black. So here, let me teach you a little bit about this. So I thought that was done really well, just on an individual issue basis. But the question becomes like, all right, well, does it matter? Does any of it matter? And so in my op-ed, I decided.
So what is ClickUp?
What was that? Oh,
it was me finding one of your videos, but I was still sharing the tab so you could hear the the guy on the ad talking. Sorry.
Got you. But yeah, so there was a
ClickUp is an all-in-one productivity.
I love that you have to
You need to get a premium account, Jill. Cut through the commercials.
Yeah. So I was just gonna, because you mentioned, and I was gonna bring up the Christopher Priest. I thought it was smooth with it, but I wasn't. I was gonna say that he's got a YouTube video right now talking about editors and their interference and how it's actually coming for even higher above. And I didn't like it yet. Here, there you get a thumbs up right there. Check out his video. Comics are dope.
I mean, and Priest would know because Priest used to be an editor at Marvel, so he knows. And a lot of when the crew came out, he complained. He said the crew could have been a success, but editors stood in my way. I had all these ideas to promote the crew. I want to do like this hip hop, and I want to kind of, you know how a lot of hip hop covers have like album covers have like comic book themes. He wanted to do that for the crew to promote it, and he said they just stood in his way. Like, no, we're not going to do this.
They eventually did do hip hop variant covers, didn't they?
Yeah, but it was after he was gone, years later.
Yeah, no,
But that was his idea back in like the first variation of crew, like the late '90s. They did that later on when Ta-Nehisi Coates was doing it. You know, like 10 years later.
So Angelique Roche has this spotlight on Matt Baker, who is a black comics artist.
Yeah, Matt Baker, and that was good.
And it was dope. It's like, okay, at least I learned something here.
Because
The stories in this
you didn't know that.
Right, I didn't know that. So, like, you know, I'm all for it. Like, I'm down for this. But, you know, ultimately, it's like, what's the goal? What's the purpose of this? If are we trying to just say, hey, we knew some black people one time, or is this supposed to be some sort of advancement, some sort of a first step, so to speak? So in my op-ed, I just kind of break down taking out indies and taking out miniseries. There are exactly 2 ongoing series in comics right now being written or drawn by black people.
So let me guess. I hadn't read it yet, so I'm sure one is Black Panther. The other is probably Green Lantern War Journal.
No, neither of those, because Black Panther is no longer ongoing. It's ending at issue 10.
Right. We discussed last week.
And I should say there are 2 writers.
Green Lantern War Journal is written by Philip Kennedy Johnson. Philip Kennedy Johnson is not black, but it's a black character lead. Yeah, wait. Is Blade the other one?
Blade is one, and Miles
Morales. Blade the other one? Because Brian, right? Yeah, right. Because Cody Ziegler writes that. So Marvel has both of them, basically.
Marvel has both of them. There are 0 ongoing titles at DC, written or drawn by a black person.
Ooh, that ain't good for DC.
But how many titles do they have coming out a month? It's like 50, 40? How many do they have?
Something like that.
I mean, DC is not what it used to be. Most of their titles are Batman books now. I mean, it's just Batman, basically, at this point.
You know, now we can make concessions, right? The fact is there aren't a ton of ongoing comics, period. Most comics that you're seeing come out on a monthly basis that are not at the indies are limited series. So that takes out a lot of options. But my point with doing that was just, okay, the ongoing titles are what these publishers are invested in. You know, that's what they're making space in their catalog for. That's what they're saying, hey, we're putting our marketing resources behind this title. So that's why I excluded miniseries from the conversation. And when you start to talk about other types of diversity, whether it's gender, identity, orientation.
I don't talk about those things. You can't look at a person on every page to see his gender. Those are not physical identities they're not generational the way that your status will go from child to child to child. You can be a woman and have all boys. Like, it's not the same issue, and it's not needed to be treated the same.
Regardless, you know what you're saying.
Same with gender identity. Well, if you're interested in the same sex, you're not unlikely going to procreate. These are separate topics which deserve their own solutions to representation, as opposed to the skin tone one.
Agreed. Right now, if I'm just looking at the monthly calendar for February, at DC, there's 1 series being written by a black person, and that is Red Hood the Hill, and that's a limited series. Everything else up here is Lily White.
Who is that? Is that Sean Martinborough writing that?
That is Sean Martinborough.
And you know what? My LCS was sold out of that, or I missed that yesterday. I looked for it, did not see it. So that's a positive sign, but
I know it's not. It just means they didn't order enough.
Yeah, that's why I said you can look at it that way.
Hey, do I kick him or do I ban him?
They put him Black Twitter.
That's great. Somebody should have made a blacktwitter.com. Like, somebody should have. I'm sure somebody's registered that domain by now.
I'm about to check it right now, BJ.
Yeah, I was gonna do it too. blacktwitter.com. Hopefully I don't get anything wrong. Oh shit, it says dangerous. Like, it really does.
Oh yeah, I'm not.
blacktwitter.com, dangerous site.
Yikes.
But I bet white Twitter's perfectly fine.
That's like Twitter after dark.
There is no white Twitter. So that's a whole different conversation. But
no, we're having the conversation. I'm gonna check. Oh, I got Dana White Twitter. What the hell? Let me try again.
That is hilarious.
Actually, came up for me
Nothing.
It came up for me on my iPad.
You got this? The site cannot be reached.
No, I mean, no,
Would you rather be
blacktwitter.com.
dangerous or can't be reached?
I actually got to Black Twitter. First thing was tweeted. Monique responds to Son Schallenby tweets. So it's an actual site with articles dated today, February 15th.
Something interesting. The guy who made somebody trademarked White Lives Matter, and he did it so that no one else can use it against like racistly. Now you can pay him and you can put on a T-shirt, and then he'll use that money and he'll put it in a great way. But he owns the trademark to White Lives Matter. He's black, I should say, and he's pretty smart. Like a couple of guys.
That is smart.
Mm.
But yeah. So my issue with Marvel Voices and DC Power ultimately are that they have no real consequences from an editorial standpoint. I do love that Mo Hampton got basically Marvel or DC Power was his tryout last year,
which got him Cyborg, right?
Got him Cyborg,
right?
We're actually talking about that in like an hour, he and I, but that'll be out on the channel a couple weeks from now. But
Mo Hampton has something else coming. I just saw it solicited on somewhere. He has something else coming out. It's an indie book too, I think.
Yeah, he is working on some creator-owned stuff. So
yeah, I saw that the other day. I mean, I was like, this looks good. I need to get it.
Yeah. So I enjoy the fact that Star Trek. He's doing Star Trek. That's pretty cool.
That's what he's doing. He's doing the Star Trek Sons book. Is that the one he's doing?
Star Trek.
Okay, I saw that.
But yeah. So I mean, I enjoy that. At the very least, they're helping to sort of platform some of these creators. And I mean, when you kind of drill down or zoom out a little bit, we are seeing Black creators get more opportunities, right? Like Mateus Manhanini, Torrin Clark. I feel like they do like every variant cover between the two of them at Marvel.
And what about what's the name that did the Action Comic story? Was it Dorado Quick? He did the Action Comic stories with Steel and Mr. Terrific, or I think he did it because a lot of people complain like, oh, why do they have Mr. Terrific, and Steel talking like they just black guys on the street, But I was like, it's an actual Black person who wrote this story. I realized this, who came with the Milestone Initiative program.
Yeah. That's been the thing with Dorado Quick. He did that Kid Flash and Aqualad story last year, and that was the one story I wasn't a huge fan of in DC Power 2023. But I'm also not a teenager, so I can't say, oh, like, well, this is just bad teenage speak.
This is how
that's how kids are talking, but it just seemed a little overkill.
But I feel like that's I know people who talk like that. Go around the corner right there and find it.
You need better friends. But but yeah, so I enjoy the fact that, or I can kind of take pride in the fact that they are giving the spotlight to these creators, and these people are actually getting more work out of these sort of initiatives. But it feels like the broader signal is, hey, here's some crumbs. You can have this in February. Don't ask me for nothing else. Like that's what it feels like at times.
I mean, and I agree with you, Beach. I think that's the interest of the whole. I mean, I get excited when I see them because growing up reading comics, I never saw anything like this. So I'm still excited when I read it. But I think for the kind of systemic change you talking about, we want to have a Black editor-in-chief at both Marvel and DC. And I just don't know how to even navigate that happening.
I'm just worried because the mayor of New York City is Eric Adams. They're having a leader sometimes isn't someone at the top. Sometimes isn't what you would hope it would be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at the end of the day, this is a show business, so it's got to make money. So I think Brian Edward Hill, he's doing Blade is selling. I saw Blade was like one of the top 10 books that got pulled recently. Blade
It wasn't that high.
I saw it somewhere. It was high. I was like, damn, Blade is this high? And I mean, Ultimate Black Panther, despite the missing palette, still sold out.
Oh my! I've done enough videos on the sellout thing, and every time I talk about people who say it's sold out, I speak low of them. So I'm not going to do it directly to you, Mark Lynn.
I don't do it low to me, but I'm perfect. All right, perfect example. Okay. I have a friend in Chicago. Reached out to me. He's like, "Hey, you actually got that Ultimate Black Panther? Let me rephrase it. People are looking for this book and they cannot find it. Mm-hmm. Now, it could be to BJ's point. They didn't order enough of them, which my shop admitted we never know. We never know.
But they
Something,
don't have they're not like they sold out on Wednesday. That's the thing. They sell out the first hour of the comic shop being open. Ultimate Black Panther was sold out. Nobody pre-ordered it. The shops weren't going to take a risk on it because they got a Black Panther comic that's dying right
we
now.
talked about that
And
last week too, because of Ultimate Invasion and Ultimate everything that didn't do well, which people like me paid for. I paid for it, but I didn't like it. I didn't start liking this stuff until really Gods, when I think BJ said you're not a fan of Gods, but I like Gods, and I like Ultimate Spider-Man, and I like Ultimate Black Panther. But think about it, I had to go through 2 other books I didn't like to get to 2 books I did like. But I'm just committed to doing it at this point,
Yeah, but you bought that because Hickman's name was on it.
Yeah, and I'm a Hickman fan.
Right.
More times than not, he's satisfied me.
Blade is the 70th comic selling out of. I mean, this is of course estimates based off of a sample size that ICV2 gets. So 70. Issue number 6. So these were from December. Issue number 6 was the 70th hottest selling comic book, which is decent. It's just it's not something you're gonna cancel. And for a character like Blade, it's not Iron Man. It's not it's good. If these numbers are to be believed, or if they're just like they got lucky and it looks like Blade is selling well.
I mean, look at it. I mean, which we talked about last week when we were on here. Did it outsell Green Lantern War Journal? Is that what you had it hired in? Let me look at the list again.
I'll put it up again.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you got Sentry as a minority-led title.
I mean, that's what the guy put it. He puts a lot of topics.
Well, technically, you could
Avengers
technically
titles.
you
He has
could.
X-Men titles.
Yeah, technically. I mean, I'm reading that Sentry. Technically, I guess you could say that.
Minority what? Like, what's his background? Is that what they're going for?
No. I mean, it's a legacy title. Basically, the original Sentry's Robert Reynolds is not about him. It's about people getting his powers. And the lead is a disabled. She has a disability, a walking disability. Black female. She's still one of the leads, and they also had some other people, and they were of different minorities.
So I've got an issue with the word minority. Just to be quick about it, it's from the way BJ says. He already agrees with me. Like, there's other ways to describe yourselves, and this word just means you're not white. And I don't think you should ever be coupling in every background and just call it minority. And the word is minority. Don't refer to yourself as a minority. You are a great man, whoever you are listening.
I was like, well, technically, you look at the world, we ain't the minority, but we the.
There you go. It's not even making sense. I mean, you may be. It's never mind. Back to the topic here. That's Blade. Blade is selling okay. I don't think it'll be canceled at issue 10, but you never know. I never saw a Blade tie-in for the Blood Hunt storyline. So when it comes to the month of May and when the solicits are up, a couple weeks from now, when the previews come up for the month of May, I wouldn't be surprised if Blade is no longer there. And 10 would be the final one. But
so what caught me about that Blood Hunt promotion is that Brian Hill's not writing it. Jed McKay's writing. I'm like, wait a minute.
So he's an events guy.
Because Jed McKay's writing Avengers, and Blood Hunt is an Avengers initiative.
Yeah. I mean, to me, Brian Hill made Blade hot again. Even though Blade wasn't Jason Aaron's run, Brian Hill's the one made him hot again. And like, oh, he's hot. Let me use this character. At least bring him on to help write the title. Like Victor LaValle is writing a Wolverine with what's his name? I can't remember. Ben Percy. Because basically the Victor LaValle story, I don't know how well it's sold, but people are talking about it. So he's like, well, hey, I want you to come on and help me write this thing with Wolverine. We're bringing the people from your Sabretooth story. Let's do that. Bring the black man in who made it popular to help you co-write the story.
No, Brian Edward Hill is liked. I've said this before on a video. There's a Thinking Critical's YouTube channel. I've seen his name is Wes. I've seen he and his panel speak highly of him. This guy's got 30K subscribers last I checked. I may be wrong on that number. But like that recommendation to comic book readers, it equals sales. The influence there from an influencer to people who read comics and buy comics may matter. When it comes to Blade, also, he was featured on the Avengers for the Jason Aaron run. He joined in maybe like issue 10 or something, but he stayed until the end. Blade was like kind of built. It wasn't just let's just see what we can do, throw Blade in there. They actually like gave you reason to be interested in him. A lot of people read the Avengers. So the ask isn't that ridiculous of an ask. Hey, this character you've been familiar with because you read the Avengers, he's got his own solo. And that kind of added. Plus he's a black character, got to support the black character. There's that fan base also. Enough to get it into like a viable monthly, decently selling comic book and we'll see if they get canceled or not. I don't know. I don't know Brian Edward Hill's page rate. I don't think it's as high as others. Okay, I think it's. I don't know. Actually, let me just leave it there. I don't know his page rate, so I don't know what is cancellation territory for him compared to somebody like who's writing Bloodhunt. What's her name? Lynn Eaton.
Oh, Cheryl Lynn Eaton.
Okay, I got the middle name and the final name. So I know for a fact she gets minimum wage, like whatever the lowest that they can pay her. She's on that come do DC Power tier. She's there, just getting started, and there's no shame to that. Everyone starts somewhere, and she could kick butt at the Black Panther Bloodhunt story. So no shade towards her. That's all I was trying to say is that I know what she's getting paid, and I think Brian Edward Hill has been around, did the Black Panther Killmonger thing, which was cool, and he's. My I don't even know my point is anymore. I'm just trying to talk so I'm not offending anybody. Let me give the floor to you.
Yeah, everybody's got different page rates. Everybody, like in any industry, your experience, your previous success, like they all tie into those things. How well do you sell a book? So on. I'm a great man, but yeah. So.
Oh man,
that is what that is, right? A question for you guys: how much do you guys really think the Black community drives sales of Black comics or any comics for that matter?
I gotta blow, man, because I'm gonna be honest with you. Sometimes I feel like when I was a kid, perfect example, I didn't see Black people really buying music. I saw us dubbing music. I saw us copying music. I saw us burning music, but I never see us doing it. So I knew when hip hop was in these groups, these high sale numbers, it was mainly white kids probably going to actually spending money to buy it. I see that with Black people in comics today. I see a lot of Black people. I'm in Black comic lords. I see a lot of people talking about stuff, but I don't see them actually buying stuff. I see them going on Twitter and looking at pages, taking them out of context, making memes out of them, looking at the artwork, but I don't actually see them buying them.
Yeah. I ask because, I go to the local comic shop every week, right? And I am one of, I could probably count 5 Black people that I have seen at my shop on a regular basis. It's one shop in one city, in North Carolina. Maybe it's not a representative sample size, but there's nothing that I've seen in any other shop that would indicate to me that when Black people get behind a title, it's all of a sudden going to be like a perennial seller.
And see, BJ, you're talking about a very nuanced subject for me. So I went to Morehouse in Atlanta. So I grew up reading comic books. My father read comic books, but I quit when I got to high school because comic books weren't they weren't cool. And I was like, I got a decision. I can like chase women, use my job to date women, or I can buy comic books. I chose women to my external regret because I was like, you know what? I'd have been off buying comic books because comic books won't leave you high and dry. They won't make you mad. But when I got to Morehouse was the first time I actually saw Black men actively like, oh, I read comic books. I do this. And that's what got me back in there. I had stopped people. Oh, man, you don't know what happened. Da, 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 da. But I was in Atlanta, a major metropolitan city with the first Black population. So
what?
It just all kind of worked
Black
for me.
Population? Do you mean majority Black?
I don't mean diverse. I mean Atlanta. You'll see.
Atlanta is like one of.
Oh, you said diverse Black population.
Yeah,
I heard the first Black population. Excuse me.
Yeah, diverse Black population.
No, Atlanta is one of those places where you can go and like Blackness is the norm, and so you're not like you don't refer to the Black community as the Black community. Like there's Black conservatives, there's Black.
Exactly. That's what I mean. You got
like,
every shade of spectrum of Black out here.
I know about
Atlanta.
the Black conservatives. They work with many police officers.
Yeah. So.
You didn't get that Herschel Walker joke.
That's terrible.
Well, you didn't win the senatorship for Georgia. That's all important. My Morehouse brother won again.
That's what's up. But yeah, so I ask because like I'm in Black Comic Lords as well, right? But there's a reason my channel's not like blurred this or like Black that, right? Because my Blackness doesn't define my nerddom. Nor is my nerddom, modifying my Blackness. Like they are just two things that exist in the same body, right? And so like there's no consensus. There's no we're not getting in a meeting, right? We're not like, all right, we're all going to go buy Miles Morales tomorrow. right? And if I'm quite frank, most of us, meaning most Black people that I've met in life, don't care about comics, period. So then,
I would agree, BJ. I mean, when I support Black comics, I'm the kind of person that will buy comics every week, but also I will support, like, what was it, Shook, the Black Horror Anthology?
mhm,
I did a Kickstarter. First Kickstarter I did, but I did it because it was Shook.
yeah,
I told a friend of mine about it. He said, man, I'm not finna pay $35, $45. He was like, I'm not finna pay that. And I'm like,
yeah,
I'll go to a convention and see a Black creator. I'm like, well, how much is your book? I'll buy it because I want to support them. But I'm the anomaly. So I get what you're saying, BJ.
yeah. Nah, like I'm not a person that is like see Black, buy Black. You know,
Well, okay. Are we talking about like Miles Morales, Ironheart? If that's what you mean, see Black buy Black.
I mean,
Because
like,
if you're talking about Black publishers,
mhm,
I don't know, like what Acolyte recently did, where they are now available on Previews World, and they'll take care of the shipping. It'll come to my comic book shop.
yep,
That is a step that I have to recognize. That they're trying. There's effort done by Concrete Comics.
yeah. I
And
actually,
I agree.
I subscribed. I'm there with. I got issues 3 and 4. I think 5 is on the way. For that reason,
Yeah,
they're
I
in the
did
direct
too.
market.
And they've got a new series
I
called
got 2,
Zuriel.
3, and 4. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I think we're all looking for it. Like, at the same
yeah,
time.
I'm sitting here trying to feel like where I'm looking at my
Somewhere.
stack from last week.
I think
we
I
go.
flashed it in a couple of videos ago. It's not
Yeah,
here
mine
anymore.
is over
Here's
here
issue
somewhere.
4.
There we go. So like we see Black, buy Black. Yeah,
Like, I guess my point though is I buy Black that I'm interested in. You know, like I don't read horror, period, right? So I don't feel obligated to support Brian Hawkins specifically horror themed books. But I'm also kind of conflicted because
I know.
I talk to Black people all year round. I've gotten to know a lot of people in the industry, and so now it's like I see a name and I'll buy a name regardless of subject matter in many cases. But I don't know that many of us have this, like, all right, if I see a Black character, if I see a Black writer, whatever, I gotta buy that book. And I don't know that we should either.
I mean, you're right. We shouldn't, but certain people are like, I just do it because that's just how I was raised. I was kind of raised like, hey, if a Black movie comes out, you need to go see it opening weekend. Black. That was just kind of my environment I was raised. So by my father, who also get introduced me to comics, so it just extended over. Like, hey,
Yeah.
and I'm happy to see it because at one point, like a lot of young Black kids, maybe I dreamed about doing the books, writing the books, doing the artists. I'm like, hey, I want to help them because they're doing what I wished I could have done before I was told, oh, that's silly. You ain't gonna make no money doing that. Oh, that's never gonna work. Ain't nobody gonna buy no book with no Black character. I mean, that's stuff I heard growing up.
Yeah.
And look, let me answer the question because you
Mhm.
asked about how many Black people are supporting the comic books. This was back in 2019 of March.
Mhm.
Let me see, where's Ironheart at? The sales, the units sold. So look, Black Widow issue 3 sold 14,000.
Okay.
Winter Soldier issue 4 sold 13,000. Where's Ironheart? There it is. Ironheart issue number 4. After the big number 1 craze, which wasn't really that hot, but
Mhm.
and then the sales cut in half. I think number 1 sold like 40,000 units. The number 2 was like 17,000 units. By the time they get to issue 4, 12,000 units sold. It was canceled at 12. And I remember from my memory, I did a video on this. We're using this information. So I'm not a genius, but I remember it was 9,011 units sold when we got to issue 12.
Mhm.
How many Black people are buying comic books? I think I can look at this number and we can say that from what the stores are pre-ordering, if anyone was reading Ironheart, it wasn't the very large group of Comicsgate. It wasn't it was the Black audience. So how much people are in the Black audience, quote unquote?
Mhm.
It's got to be 10,000 people. Like, look, let me go to Miles Morales on this month.
Well, and then I saw you had Shuri. Shuri's number 6 sold more than that from the list you just showed us.
Yeah, Shuri sold maybe 600 more than that. Yeah.
And
Well,
Shuri
that was-
only went 6 issues, didn't it? Because I remember Ironheart.
Shuri went 10.
Shuri went 10.
Yeah.
Eh.
The Vita Ayala Shuri, yeah.
Okay, all right, that's what you're right. It was the Vita Ayala Shuri.
And Nnedi Okofor might have had issue number 8 or one of them in between.
And Shuri
yes,
crossed
so you
over
can
with
see
Ironheart too?
Excuse me?
Didn't Ironheart showed up in Shuri, or Shuri crossed over in Ironheart? I remember that too.
Yeah,
Both
there
books
was a
were coming out.
crossover.
Yeah, I
8,
remember
9,
that.
10, 11, there was a crossover with for Ironheart. It was an Ironheart comic.
Hmm.
The number that you were looking for, how many black people are supporting,
Mhm.
it's very low. If I pull up the Milestone books, when did Milestone come out? It was like year 1993.
93.
23.
Correct.
So if I go just to 1993, give me a second and please be patient, folks. But it's useful information that we're about to.
No, I mean, it is useful information, but I also wonder how many black people know to go to comic book stores. Because when I was growing up, you used to be able to buy them in Walmart, the grocery store, the drugstore. Now, pretty much everything is like you got to go to the comic store,
Mhm.
to get it. I don't know a lot of, well, I don't know a lot of black moms taking their kids to comic stores, versus I can go to Walmart or Target and buy them a video game and they'll be satisfied.
Mhm. So I'm looking at May 1993.
You beat me to it.
It just happened to be on the side of a Comic-Con.
So it was a low. Oh my god, I don't have it.
I mean, you can put with Icon, Static,
I'll
Blood
just go to
Syndicate.
March of '95. No, wrong. What is going on here? It's supposed to have units sold. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that out as well. I don't see units.
Yeah, it's
Were they
an
actually
index.
recording that data at that time?
Yeah, maybe they weren't recording data at that time. So I moved over to 97, which I think Static was still happening. No.
Mhm. Yeah, the original Milestone titles all ended in 97.
Damn.
I mean, and I know Static made it because I had Static 25. I remember that epic cover. They had covered up, Dwayne McDuffie. And I saw whatever that documentary was
Got
on
it.
Max that he talked about it. But I remember that when it came out, and I bought that. As a kid, my mom bought that for me because she didn't know what it was. She bought it for me.
Randall, when do you mean by 10? What was he asking us? 10?
Mhm.
I don't know. But Static, so I'm at the month of 1996, September. So this came out, it was a $2.50 book. It was Milestone.
Mhm.
And
5,000.
5,000 units sold. This was a long time ago when sales were a little bit higher for every other title. So if I just look at all of them in total,
What
look
was
at that.
number one?
Well,
Fantastic
yeah, these are
Four?
number ones. They don't count. So let's just go to like Batman or okay.
Wait,
Spawn.
Uncanny X-Men 338, Incredible Hulk 447. So Peter David was still writing Incredible Hulk at that point.
Yeah, that's an enormous number just for like a regular another issue 447. The next comic book, that's insanely high and would never happen today. Today we're like, you're lucky if you get something like 67,000, like for an Amazing Spider-Man or something. Units sold. Anyways, so
Peter David was also writing that Supergirl at that time too. I mean, Peter David was like one of the big people in comic books at that time.
Yep, so Supergirl doing its thing. So just to get an idea, okay, of what was happening. Green Lantern 80 issue number 80. So then Static is all the way down here, down at 5,000. It's not even in the top 200 comics books. Where was it? Somewhere down here.
It was like 287, I think, or 274.
274. Here it is. 76.
Okay.
As you can see, it's just so how hot are these comic books? Just by number, just by 276.
Right.
It's that means that it's low, no matter what era. 276 place is terrible.
Yeah. Right. So to play devil's advocate, well, not to call comic publishers a devil, right? But if I'm a publisher, right, my job is to solicit titles that are going to move units, right? What is going to cause me to prioritize random black character number 3?
You have to sell units. Yeah. I mean, I agree. It's the business.
DJ Kicks, the answer to your question is that movie that grossed $1.3 billion. When that came out, we should not have gotten Ta-Nehisi Coates' Black Panther or Intergalactic Empire.
I disagree with you on that. I enjoyed the Ta-Nehisi Coates Galactic. The first part, I got what he was trying to do, because any one who wrote Things Fall Apart. No, that's somebody else. But the Intergalactic Empire, I resonate with that story. The first story was set in the Civil War in Wakanda. I couldn't resonate with that because I'm too Americanized, is the term. But I was like, I don't. This doesn't appeal to me, But we got the Intergalactic Empire in Wakanda. That's okay. I'm a sci-fi person. It appealed to me,
Okay.
And you end up with every black character basically, with the exception of what Triathlon, when I didn't see in their picture.
I wasn't speaking to what appeals to you. I was just saying it wasn't appropriate for right after the movie to cast and hire this novelist Ta-Nehisi Coates. Rather, that was a great time to get one of your top tier writers. So The first issue of Ta-Nehisi Coates from 2016, 250,000 units sold. This next time around, 160,000 units sold for his first issue of, right after the movie. It was in May. 160 units sold. There was an audience there both times. Well, one was a huge amount of audience. The second time around, I just think they should have changed writers. Hey, the movies are hot. We have another, basically, someone gift wrapped you a brand new Captain America, Thor, Iron Man, Hulk level of a character. Another Fantastic Four level of a character. He's the Black Panther. You can't see me, but I'm doing this. I'm like,
No, I mean, I get what you're doing, but I talked to my cousins and stuff about this. I'm like, well, to me, it's always been a struggle because just because a movie is popular, I don't see people going to buy comic books. I don't see that. Do you guys see that?
They didn't even try though. Like, I want to have sales data. I want to be able to say, okay, it doesn't work. I don't know that though. They've never
right, and I agree with you. I mean, nobody's been able to like tell me like, oh, I mean, and I feel like I was in some conversation or saw it somewhere. It was like, when a movie comes out, they should say, hey, here are the local comic book stores that have this, or we should have like the comic book people set up outside the movie theater on the premiere night so people can know I can set up my pull list for this comic book. Stuff like that should happen, but I don't ever see it happening.
The other thing I will say, right, like just to defend or your point, Chill, on Black Panther, right? I came into comics in 2019. I had seen the Black Panther movie in 2018. I was really excited about Black Panther. I went to the comic shop and saw Intergalactic Empire of Wakanda. And I was like, why are they on a spaceship? And I never bought the issue. I now own the Coates Run in omnibus format, but I did not buy that off the shelf at the time because it didn't match the image of Black Panther that was in my head.
I said that. Flash by Night Comics said the same thing. That's when we got into comic books. We saw that comic and I said, not for me. I'll just read something else.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and that's interesting to me. Because
now, if I had jumped in 2016, it might have been a different story. I think the other point of that, though, or the counterpoint, right? Captain America: Civil War released April 12th, May 6th, 2016, right? We knew Chadwick Boseman had been cast. We knew there was going to be a Black Panther appearance in this movie. Trailer had dropped, whatever. Coates' Black Panther #1 dropped in April of 2016. So I think a huge amount of that was speculation.
Speculators.
So, yeah, is DC paying Charlotte Fullerton to produce Static? Likely. There was a settlement. Those details were not made public. But
Dwayne McDuffie's widow?
Dwayne McDuffie's widow.
Well, I got a problem with her because her last name is Fullerton right now, so that's how you should know. I don't mean that. I'm joking.
She goes by both.
I just find it interesting. So you both came into comics basically in the teens, the 20 teens,
mm-hmm.
and it's weird because even though I knew Black Panther growing up, he didn't appeal to me until the late 90s, early 2000s when Christopher Priest took it over. And this is going to writing because I'm gonna tell you what they did well about the Priest run. I was reading other stuff, but every book I read, they were like, I'd always see these comments. Christopher Priest run on Black Panther, I would see these comments from reviewers and websites, and this is one of the best runs, the definitive run, and that's what finally made me pick it up. I said, let me go ahead and see what's going on with this, because I was like, Black Panther shows him in Avengers and blah, blah, blah. He was in Fantastic Four, blah, blah, blah. I didn't really care. Some people love the old McGregor Black Panther. I'm not one of them. I'm just not. I'm like, Priest is the Panther for me. And I said, man, this black man's up here. I mean, it was just brilliant. I mean, basically, you had this white man talking to white America, basically. Like Bernie Mac, America, I'm here to tell you. Right. This black man's doing Batman level stuff. He's outsmarting and, Tony Stark, he's doing all kinds of stuff, That became a definitive run for me. And then the Hudlin run came, which I was told was more popular, sold more. But I'm like, it's popcorn Black Panther to me. I bought it and I read it and I enjoyed it, but it wasn't as good as the Priest run.
Yeah, I mean, popcorn anything is going to sell more.
Right.
I just realized you bought that headset back when Priest was writing Black Panther, and now this all makes sense. All of it. But hey, what's up, Average Comics Joe? What's up, man?
So he's surprised that I know you and you know me.
We're black. We all know each other.
That's true.
When's the first time I spoke to you, like, or messaged you? I think it was when you said I'm going to change my name from BJ Kicks to Comics Are Dope, and I said no,
Yeah,
keep your
you
name.
told me to keep my
BJ Kicks is a name, so
No,
Comics
Yeah.
Are Dope with BJ Kicks. Like, you should always have your name in your thing.
I can tell BJ is a marketing person just from his content. I can just tell. Even his comment at the beginning when I came in, he said he's talking about SEO. I said, all right, I didn't think about that. Comics Are Dope is dope. I mean, it works, and he has a very inclusive community. His Discord is good. His Facebook is just good all around. Like I said, I don't define myself. I'm a black guy who likes comics. I don't define myself as a black man who likes comic books.
Ironically, the first domain I bought outside of BJ Kicks was blackmancomics.com. I let it expire. I never decided. I decided not to go with that name, but I bought it just in case I was going to use it later.
Well, just like White Lives Matter, you had to get that under your belt.
Better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Facts.
Next
So-
year,
Go ahead.
DC Power 2025 is coming out. I don't plan to pick it up. I plan to tell my else why, because it's not gonna lead anywhere. I don't fear like, oh no, if I don't pick up this, then there will be a consequence. I don't fear that anymore. What we said right now about guys getting chances, and earlier you were talking about how DC Power got somebody a chance.
Morgan Hampton, yeah.
Morgan Hampton a chance. I don't think so. I think that it can't give you a chance. It can only blackball you. It can only be, oh, you don't want to work with us for DC Power, or you're a big shot, fine, and you're in their bad graces. It can only hurt you. I don't think it can help you by doing, oh, you know what? We read your 3-page story, and man, it was the bee's knees. You need to be writing, not Green Lantern, but like the 4th Green Lantern. You need to be writing that person of color. That's just what you need to do.
Well,
I mean, to play devil's advocate, right? That the Mo Hampton success story is probably the strongest argument for DC Power specifically, and it's sort of a perfect storm of events, right? Because we have Chris Conroy, who is was the Black Label and like Elseworlds group editor. So Chris Conroy, who is a white man, who is editing basically anything you see that's not in mainline DC continuity. And one of the biggest projects on his desk was Milestone. When Milestone Returns launched in 2020, Chris Conroy is editor on all those projects. Marquise Draper gets hired. He's now associate editor on most of Chris Conroy's work at DC. Marquise gets bumped up to full editor on a lot of these comics. And because Mo Hampton is a Milestone Initiative alum, his work has been seen by certain people in that office. Now Marquise is like, hey, I can actually put you on titles. And then Mo is in DC Power. And then also, hey, like, we're putting out a bunch of miniseries for the Dawn of DC. I got Cyborg, you want to write Cyborg, right? But this is the way you hope change would happen from the inside of these companies, right? Like,
I mean, I agree with you, BJ. I mean, going to comic conventions, talking to people, one thing I picked up is any path to getting writing comics, they usually, I don't know what it is about this industry, but they close it off. Oh, and people tell the stories. Well, I knew so and so, and I did this to get in comics, and next thing you know, they close that path of getting comics off. You know, the only way people infiltrate industries is somebody is at the table, like, hey, I got the door open for you. You know, I can tell you from business, like, well, you know, we would hire somebody that's black, but we don't know anybody. I've heard that. And maybe because I'm down south, but I've heard that a lot. We don't know any qualified black people to do this. And I mean, chill, maybe it's different in Toronto, but up down South America, it's definitely like who you know. And you get the chance on who you know, I know so and so, so I give them a chance, you know.
Sure, but it hasn't resulted. What it did result in is the Cyborg comic book. All due respect.
mhm.
That's not Flash, Wonder Woman, Batman, or Detective Comics. Cyborg, that's the ceiling so far. So we're not shattering really anything.
Well, I mean, it depends. I mean, let's look at somebody like Ram. I mean, I think it depends because the key
It
is to
doesn't
break
depend on anything. I just watch the Marvel Voices stuff. Writers come in and artists come in and fine, they do their Marvel voices, and then maybe they'll do this less than significant comic book character who's black, and they do that. And now they're out of the company. I've seen guys do the Black Panther comic book Coates, and is out of the company. Ron Gidley comes in here and he's out of the company. Every time, we're not saying his name. Every
Ron
time
generally got a few different opportunities.
Well, first of all, I
As
say
in-
there's no
I'm
success.
a fan of.
We're
I'm
living.
a fan of
You're
his.
living in the middle of the DC Power. Like this is how they're gonna sell you on. See, look, now he went to Cyborg, and you're just imagining the
No,
possibilities of what
I'm not
next,
saying.
as
I'm
if
not
there's a
saying.
ladder to climb. There's no ladder.
I'm saying as a whole, most people who come into the comic industry, they start off on a small work and they work their way up. That
Right.
means can we agree on that? That
We
most
can
people
agree
like
on that. So
that
looking at
Jed
Vita
McKay,
Ayala,
from Jed McKay, Hickman, everybody, Bendis, they all started something small and worked their way up. Why can't that be the same path for black people? Or you just saying that
because
isn't
it
working?
literally doesn't happen, and it's the first Marvel Voices was 2019 or 18, one of them. This is the 5th book that's come out, and judging off of everyone from the first Marvel's Voices, Eve Ewing had a 1-page story, I think, about Storm. Insignificant. Don't tell me that's what got her this job. It was just like, let's throw something at her and figure. And we'll
I
figure
mean, but Eve Ewing has moved. I mean, and this is interesting because I like that we're getting the data. We want to track it. We can track it because once we track it and know what happens, we can manipulate it. I agree with you on that. Like, hey, we know this happens right there. But people, what I see right now is it used to be your people wanted to work for the big two. That's not the path right now. I see people like, I want to be independent. I want to get hired to work to Bend, like a James Tynion. I want to get hired to work Big Two. James Tynion, I remember he first started DC on talent. I remember that. Then he worked his way to detective.
Yeah.
He had Justice League Dark. Then he came.
You're right. There is a
Batman.
ladder, and James Tynion climbed the ladder.
And then as soon as
far,
he's time
I'm
the
not
ladder, he
convinced
left
there's a
and took his
ladder.
fans with him.
And he took DC fans with him.
We
The
also
Marquise
gotta-
Draper is the X factor, which may change my mind because I haven't seen that play out over on Marvel. So maybe DC and Marquise Draper are going to result in some sort of like real change, structural change.
Maybe, right. We also have to acknowledge that the comics industry is small and nepotism is real in every industry.
Just ask
Right.
Warren Ellis.
James Tynion's story is being literally Scott Snyder's student in a classroom,
Right.
right? Like, in what world does some random black student get put on Detective Comics?
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, unless he's in the, I mean, who I would say is the most successful. We've already talked about Ryan Hill. And what I find is that most of these people do stuff outside of comics as well.
Mm.
I mean, you got a Rodney Barnes who, was like, yeah, I'm doing comics, but I'm really a screenwriter. I remember discovering Rodney Barnes. He's writing on the Boondocks in the early 2000s. That's when I first learned about Rodney Barnes. It's like, and then Philadelphia blew up, but he was like, I'm just doing this because I like doing it. He did Blackula. He liked doing Blackula.
To that point, it's insane how overqualified most black comics writers are.
Jeffrey
Right.
Thorne and Rodney Barnes, I would put there. Yes.
Yeah.
Christopher
Jeffrey
Priest
Thorne.
as well.
Yeah.
But he
Like-
said something to you where he doesn't want to be the give me the black book anymore.
His
Or does he
website?
change his mind on that?
He doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't want to be defined by black characters. He doesn't want to be the black writer for black characters. It's
Right, 'cause
interesting.
he's
It's an interesting
doing,
dichotomy, and we talk about it a little bit because most of his books have a heavy race element in them as subtext or just on its face, just there. But he just didn't like that he was getting, like, all of a sudden he's getting calls for Cyborg or Night Thrasher. No disrespect to any of these characters, but it's like Priest went from editing Spider-Man to, hey, here's D-list black character. Would you like to write it?
Yeah,
But-
and he sees that, and thankfully, with him rejecting a lot of those jobs, other people were able to get work.
Right. I
So,
mean, but Priest was one. He was good at what he did.
Yes.
He was good at what he did. If you're not good at it, they're not gonna call you. Now, some people argue, well, if you can just finish the story and turn it in, they'll hire you. I've heard that argument too. Going to comic conventions, if you can turn and complete a story on a deadline, we'll work with you.
no matter what he
know?
does nowadays, though, he's the Black Panther 1998 guy, and that's on his resume, and so he can write trash U.S. agent. He can do trash a lot of
I
things.
mean, he's
He's the-
doing
problem is-
Draculina for Dynamite
He's
right now. 'Cause
doing
I just bought that.
Vampirella right now. The
Yeah,
problem
yeah,
is Priest has
Vampirella,
never been a huge seller. He's gotten critical acclaim, but he's never been a huge seller. So you can't necessarily look back and be like, oh, he wrote Black Panther, let's give him XYZ. The one thing that all these other people have that he doesn't is some blockbuster event or book that, like,
Now
just
you're
put
right
him on
about
the
that,
map
DJ. I've
commercial.
never seen a black writer shepherd an event. I've
Just-
never seen that.
but just a second. Priest hasn't sold Black Panther in 98 to 2001. He wasn't the hot seller then. Throughout the years, and the chatter and the critical acclaim and the trade paperbacks that did sell, and omnibuses that have sold, omnibuy, after all of that, I don't know. Let's give him a chance. Let's see if he can do the Justice League, the Avengers. I think that there's something there. It's not been proven yet.
He did have the Justice League, didn't he?
He did
had
a-
Justice League.
He did
and
11 or 12 issues of Justice League right before Scott
Oh.
Snyder jumped in.
So
Right,
was
and-
he booted for Scott Snyder, or was it always planned to be 12? What's the
He was
situation
always
there?
playing as a fill-in writer until Scott
Yeah,
Snyder
yeah.
that run.
Okay, so a limit. It's kind of like what happened with Kelly Thompson. Hey, look, you're going to be writing Amazing Spider-Man. Look, first woman on Spider-Man. Yeah, but that's 10 issues. You're going to share it with other people. It's just like it's glass ceilings type stuff.
Well, I mean, who would we say now? I would say Cody Ziegler is somebody to watch at Marvel.
I'm
If
telling
anybody
you,
has a
Mark.
chance-
Sorry to interrupt you, Mark. No, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. I mean, if anybody has a chance to shepherding an event, it might be him because Miles Morales Spider-Man is doing well. I
You are
see
living in the
Paul-
moment. You are living in the moment of Cody Ziegler's doing well. It doesn't matter. He's a black writer at that company. He's doing
I mean,
well for a black.
I get that. I mean, but I think the path is right now build your following and take what you can go independent. I mean, I don't know who the most successful black writer is overall because you're saying who is it? Who is the most successful black
Who's
writer?
the most successful black writer?
Yeah, who's
Jeffrey
the most successful
Thorne?
black?
That's a good question.
Paul.
Paul,
Paul
you
probably
muted.
knows.
You muted. Paul probably does know, but you muted Paul.
He just booted himself. I didn't do it. It wasn't me.
But yeah, that's a
So
good
I mean,
question.
I get what you're saying, Chill, but we have to find the path. Or like, because you're like, well, it's not going to be, it's wasting my time because I'm not going to be a success. I'm not going to, get an event. But I'm like, you're not going to get an event unless you participate.
Yeah.
I think to my point earlier though, right? Like all of these black writers who we deem like just the luminaries, right?
Mhm.
They're already too big for comics to begin with. Most of them are doing screenwriting, they're writing for TV, they're
Brian Edward
freaking
Hill.
professors, right? Cody Ziegler as well.
Yeah.
That man writes Futurama, right?
He did She-Hulk
McDuffie is
also.
not alive, so that's why I wouldn't put him on in that conversation as like the most successful. I just mean like currently, who's doing it big? Who's on the do it big trip, right? Like
To do it big, true. The Boondocks reference right there. Do it big,
Exactly.
true.
it might be Rodney Barnes, but it's not because of anything he's doing in comics though.
Yeah, I mean, Rodney Barnes to me has been denied his Eisner for Philadelphia, but I also say Al Ewing was denied his Eisner for Immortal Hulk. And that's
There I
political to me.
There
There
you
you
guys
go,
hear me
Paul.
now?
Yeah,
Yes,
we hear you, Paul.
Sorry for being so late, man. I got off of work late tonight. What are we talking about?
Black people.
How to be a successful black writer in comics? Because they basically like DC Power and Marvel Voices is a waste of time because these writers are never going to do any big projects at DC and Marvel. That's what we
not what I
have.
said at
man,
all. That's what
not
Chill
true.
said.
That's not true, man. That's not
Let me have it, Paul.
A couple minutes ago, you guys were talking about one of the hottest writers out now is being Cody Ziegler, right?
Mhm.
Where did he get his start?
Marvel Voices,
Marvel Voices.
2022.
I don't
That's
believe.
where he got his start.
Okay.
I remember reading Marvel Voices when it first came out. I'm like, and this is a dope little, I think I want to say he actually
He did
was
like
it
4
Miles
stories.
he did? Yeah, he did several stories. I'm like, who the hell's Cody Ziegler?
I remember that.
And
I'm like,
Now,
He was
now
the-
he's
he was
writing.
the
Now he's
guy.
writing one of Marvel's top books.
See, he was the dude who picked up the phone call when they decided in January. Oh yeah, February's coming up. We gotta do. No, that's not true. That's not true. Of course, it takes more than just 1 month to plan a comic book. But
It's not
but
easy to get into the comic industry. It's not easy to be given one of their top books.
oh, you
it's
keep
not
saying
easy
one of their
to
top
get-
books. Top
Huh?
10?
Miles Morales.
Yeah, is he top 10?
To
my knowledge, he's not.
even if
I don't know
he's
if
not top
Miles-
10 in sales, the character that he is writing is one of their top merchandise characters.
Yeah, Miles is
comic
absolutely-
book wise.
Miles is absolutely top 10
the-
Marvel characters.
The two are the same. The two are one and the same. Understand?
They're not.
when we talk about, I mean,
I didn't do that one again. It's really not me. It wasn't like I disagreed with him. Get out of here, Miles Morales. It wasn't me.
Oh man.
Randall
mean-
suggests Dr. Eve, and I would say talent-wise, yes. There, he's back now.
I just can't seem to get my computer working for anything. When we talk about Marvel Comics, understand Marvel Comics no longer really exists. It's all under the auspices of Marvel Studios.
But I'm only talking about Marvel
No,
Comics.
look, I agree with you, Chill. I
Okay,
agree with you 100%.
All right.
But in terms of the business aspect of things, when Marvel says, who's our top guy, who's our top characters, they're not looking at the comics anymore, because the comics are promotional material for what they're going to do with their other franchises, their merchandise.
Paul, this sounds like G.I. Joe all over again.
That's the word. They're
G.I.
licensed.
Joe comic books designed to sell G.I. Joe toys. That's what it was.
They are
It's
concept
licensing.
art for potential movie scripts.
You know, Kevin Grievous even mentioned this in an interview where he said, look, what you don't understand is the reason there are so many variants, different versions of a lot of these mainstream characters is about maintaining the licensing. That's why you'll have a woman version or a black version or whatever version of a lot of these characters, because they're trying to make sure that they're keeping the licensing rights to all these main characters, which is another reason why we don't get a lot of the more obscure characters getting their own titles, because they don't want to like deal with all that. Remember, the older the character is, the more questions there'll be as to whether or not the older contracts, which might have had some wiggle room for the people that created those characters, gives that creator, you know, right ad nauseum in the future if they decide to make it into a movie or a television show or something. They don't want to deal with the legal ramifications. See what I'm saying? So it's really business now. It's really business with the big two. It's about pushing television shows, movies, lunch boxes, costumes. Comics is promotional material.
I understand that, but this is a comic book conversation.
I hear
And
you.
Miles Morales' sales are not Thor, maybe better than Doctor Strange. I don't know why.
I haven't
that
looked at
came
the
to mind.
sales. What are the sales numbers? Are you looking on Comic
Let's
Con?
go
Jed
to
McKay is rating Dr.
comicron.com.
McKay, so I think it's probably outselling because Jed McKay has a name at this point. People buy this because he's writing it.
I'm gonna go to the holy month of March of 2020 before the world turned.
Is anybody reading Avengers?
I
People are reading.
dropped
I
Avengers.
am. I don't.
So back
It's
in
not what I
2020,
expect from McKay, though.
Saladin
It's
Ahmed
not.
was writing Miles Morales' comic book here, and the Saladin Ahmed comic was 25,000 units sold. That's pretty good. That's decent. That can survive. It's
Yeah.
the 67th hottest comic of that month.
Okay.
So let's see what the sales were that month. And
Is that total comics or just Marvel? Yeah, it's total comics.
well, everyone was included, and that's where it ranked. But I mean, units sold is much more important, I
Wait a
think.
minute. Spider-Woman was #1 that month.
Well,
How
it
was
was
that
the first issue, and they always over order on issue
Oh,
number ones.
Yeah.
At 142,000 units. Good lord.
So scroll down and see where Miles is.
Miles
That's crazy.
was
I got that Spider-Woman for free that month. It was like if you bought Strange Academy, you could also get either Spider-Woman or something else for free.
Which means they over ordered it basically, and they had to get rid of it.
Iron Man 2020. What year is this?
March 2020.
March 2020,
Oh, March of 2020.
right before
Do you
COVID.
have anything more recent?
No, for Comic-Con, I wouldn't trust anything after this because the world went to,
Yeah, they don't have. This is the last time they had all the numbers consolidated from Diamond.
So Strange Academy issue number 1 with Scotty Young and Humberto Ramos. Those are names. They are people with a fan base. People understand who that is and what they're going to get. And
Yeah.
for some reason, Strange Academy kept going. It wasn't canceled after the second trade paperback. It kept going. That's
was
what
good- it was a
effort
good
looks
book.
like.
But Strange Academy didn't come out consistently either. I mean, it came out. I bought it, but it
It
wasn't like
sold.
a month or
I'm gonna
something.
ask
Okay,
you-
it's old. Which
because
goes
I-
back to my conversation. We're in show business. It is a business, and stuff has to sell. The question is, how do we position the black-led product or the product that features black characters or black
Put
writers?
Scotty Young and Humberto Ramos on them. Because
Is it still
clearly
black
those
then?
two people can
Because-
sell these characters with
Is it
no
still black
fan
then?
base. Those two
Right.
those two
Yep.
writers, those creatives, you put them on, all of a sudden Strange Academy. What the hell is this about? I've never heard of the character ABC, but you know what? These guys have a fan base, and with it came sales.
See,
Do that
that's
again with Black Panther.
Did
There,
y'all
there,
read?
there is
Were
some
y'all
truth.
reading the backup stories
There is some truth there.
in Miles 25? Remember
No.
when the Clone War started and they had like the big oversized issue, and that was my first and last issue of Miles Morales until Cody Ziegler's run, because it was just one bruh too many, right?
Yeah.
By someone who didn't come from our culture. Like that's the type of murky water you start walking in when you start assigning these books to certain people, which is not to say we should be segregated and only Black people should be able to write Black characters, but it's a tightrope you got to walk.
Yeah.
So
It's not just about saying only Black writers can write Black characters. It's about good writers, the best writers. And what's the definition of a good writer? For me, a good writer is not only someone who can, tell a tale, has a great vocabulary, but there's someone who's willing to do the research. The best writers say, I did some research before I did this. I remember seeing an article about, I think it was Len Wein, when he was writing Brother Voodoo and Strange Tales, right? He's like, I did research on Haitian culture and voodoo when I decided to come up with Brother Voodoo as a character.
yeah,
Real writers, no matter who they are, do their homework, so that they're telling from an authentic voice, and they know what they're talking about.
yeah.
And
To
that has nothing to do with your race.
Yeah, to that point, right? The reason Jon Stewart is my favorite Green Lantern, partially, right? He was on the Justice League cartoon. But the
Chillon
other-
almost just threw up right there when you said that.
yeah, I know. But the
I
other part of
understand.
that, have you ever heard? There's a video out there of Neil Adams telling the story of how Jon Stewart got created and his back and forth with like editorial and how he fought for the name and how he fought
Right.
for Jon's occupation and all this stuff for it to be authentic. Now, for us to, we go back, some of that dialogue falls apart. Some of the characterization kind of falls apart when we talk about Black people at the time. But it was that line of thinking and that sort of conversation line that made Jon Stewart my favorite Green Lantern. I just liked his origin story off the page before we ever got the first panels written. But I'm gonna ask this before I got to jump off because I'm late for this interview.
Mm-hmm.
How do you guys feel about these anthologies from an editorial standpoint? Like, I think the part that bothers me about these is that ultimately the stories don't matter. Like,
They never get furthered on.
that bothers me because I'm like, especially for DC's was a $10 book. And I'm like, I'm legit just buying it because I want to support the names on it. But I'm never going to read this again.
Yeah, I mean that's the
Ooh,
problem.
no.
I think I fully agree with the concept of doing something significant for Black History Month. I have no problems with that, particularly when it's in a format that you can give it to a kid who may not be familiar with these characters and say, here, you can learn about some dope Black characters you may not have ever seen before. I love that concept of it. I love the fact that it's giving a shot to up and coming writers and artists. That's important. That's very important because they need the exposure. Even if they never go work for DC or Marvel again, maybe an indie publisher
True.
will pick them up and say, "Hey, you can do some good stuff in that book. I want to hire you."
Hence
So
your
that's
Justina
important.
Ireland example that you gave me a couple weeks ago.
Right. But the problem is, if from a business standpoint, if you want the book to sell, if you want the book to matter, you want to put a new character in it. The spec guys will go like, "Oh, right. Oh, there's a first appearance in this book. I gotta buy it just because it's a first appearance. Not might be something because this is DC and Marvel, and all spec now is based on what's going to be in the movies and television shows." Right? That's an easy way to make it matter, make it sell well. Right? If they're really interested in selling it, put a first appearance. The other thing is have the stories be in continuity. I don't want to see an alt version. I mean, there is a storyline in the Marvel Voices one with T'Challa and Storm in the future. Is that going to be part of the 616 universe or not? It's a.
Now, Paul, that was my favorite story in it, though.
It was mine too, but is that story going to happen? Look at the way they are now. I don't know.
I read
But-
Young X-Men, and that ended with a future version of Dust who kills everybody. I read House of X, which has future versions. Powers of 10 had future versions of Wolverine being alive and killing Moira. I saw Grant Morrison. His final few issues was a future version of something, and it didn't end up happening. Everything with the future version is not 616 canon. They don't go at the office. All right, so we know that Storm and T'Challa are going to get married to each other, and they're going to have grandkids. Now, remember, everybody who writes a comic book storyline, that happened in Marvel Voices back in 2024. So don't do anything to contradict it.
Right. I don't know if that's going to happen. The Deathlock story in the DC book is a perfect example of that, because that's a story that could literally be an in continuity background with Michael Collins, you know, and it left you on a cliffhanger at the end.
It did.
You know?
I did. And Paul, I felt like that story was, they were setting that up to see we might be able to do a limited series. I felt that, you know, the way it ended, you know, where
that's
So I'm
the
wondering-
one story most people, when they read that book, said, "Hey, that was a dope story. I wanted to get some more of that." And that's the point, right? Should be the point.
But how do you measure? Are we measuring by social media? People going on like, "Hey, I really like that Deathlock story." I mean, how do they know which stories are hot and which
They're
stories
not
are not?
looking to know, because there's no actual advancing ladder to climb. You're pretending that Cody Ziegler really worked his way up to the top because he entered those phone calls and he did his Miles Morales book. It's and his Miles Morales work isn't going to get him anywhere. He's not going to be writing anything high at that company.
What do you base all that on?
I'm curious to see why you say that too. It's like, hey, we're never going to get a black person Avengers, which is what the best-selling book at Marvel now.
Also,
Ta-Nehisi Coates. You say, yeah.
No, go ahead.
Beauty.
Go ahead.
You go.
Well, you know, also Cody does more than write comics. I mean, he really kind of got his start writing television, and you know, he's a screenwriter.
And that'll be what we tell ourselves when he's not on the comic books that are hot anymore. And it's like a built-in exit strategy. Brian Edward Hill, he's doing the ultimate Black Panther, but again, he's in the black sphere. He's at the peak of it. He's at the top of black comic book characters. The only next like level up he can go to would be one of those white characters who are top 10. And it's not going to happen. Same thing with Eve Ewing. She's going to go the direction of Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Do Captain America.
He got through Captain America for 30 issues. Thankfully, Alex Ross was doing the covers, and with that comes sales. Just go ask that last writer who did Volume 8 of Black Panther. Alex Ross moves units.
What does it say that they're willing to give Ta-Nehisi Coates a book with Marvel's hottest cover artist to help them sell the books? That you talked about, you know, if they really want to invest, they'll put the hottest artists and the hottest writers on the book, right?
Yes. So there was a cover artist put on the comic book.
Still, who cares if it's a cover interior? It's Alex Ross, and the point is to sell the book, and he sells books by putting people on the cover.
You're right. The point is, the original point I'm trying to say is that Ta-Nehisi Coates isn't in the company anymore. He raised his hands at a Marvel Summit when they were offering the job of Captain America. He was the first one and they gave it to him. Since then, he's out of the company. He's not coming back to the company. He's not coming back to the company to do freaking anything but Hawkeye level characters or below.
But is that his choice though? I mean, that's what I'm saying. You know, this is somebody that's
I'm not saying it's his choice. I'm talking about Marvel and DC.
Marvel's like, we just don't want to hire. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's a decision. Like, do I want to do this? I mean, I'm trying to understand what you want. I want to be a black comic writer that writes for comic books the rest of my life. I want to be a Chris Claremont. I want to be the black Chris Claremont. Is that what you're looking for?
Well, yeah, I'm looking for the black Chris Claremont. I'm looking for.
Okay, I mean, I just want to be clear what you're trying to get.
It's not easy making comics creation your full profession.
No, don't give me that. I'm looking for a Donny Cates level before his incident. I'm looking for a guy who can get up. Chip Zdarsky, a guy who can work his way to the top and is rewarded after stellar performances and gets the higher book and the higher book.
Yeah, all those guys those are named guys. Chip Zdarsky.
They're white.
Jonathan Hickman.
Yes.
Al Ewing. These guys that can walk into a company and say, I want to write on Mickey Mouse. And they'll be like, yes, here.
Okay.
Have Mickey Mouse. Enjoy yourself.
Chip and Donny Cates are relatively new. just started. They're not even 10 years deep into their professional career, and I may be wrong about that, but there's a reason Sorry.
I think Chip about 10 years in, because we had Chip on the House of Nerds show, and he talked a lot about that, and it was just interesting to hear his perspective on it. Like I feel like Chip, as soon as he finishes, he's gonna do what Tinian did. As soon as he finishes his Batman run, he going back independent. Like, all right, peace. Let me make my money now.
Don't forget that comics is there's a lot of nepotism in comics. It's very cliquish. They have their clique of people that look. You're part of our
the reason is.
Every writer said this.
Yeah.
That they have their select few writers or artists that are part of the inside club.
Yes.
And those are the people that get the preferential treatment.
And Ta-Nehisi Coates is not part of that preferential
No,
treatment. Cody Ziegler.
Most Black creators are not part of that clique.
Yes. So you're kind of with me now? Like, it's these advancements. Like, we're living in the middle of the Miles Morales, Cody Ziegler, time period. So, but with a little bit of foresight, or I'm saying I have foresight, and it's a very pessimistic one. I'm saying that this guy isn't really advancing to that circle of you get to write Thor, you get to write X-Men, you get to write Amazing Spider-Man. That's not happening.
So I understand what you're saying, but the question is, how do we make that happen? Which is because no Black person is ever gonna get in the circle for this to happen.
I'm kind of mad that you wanted to change the topic to a solution, because I was like, did I win that? Did I convince everybody that these comic book writers, artists, maybe they've got a different route, because it's subjective. It's very subjective. It's very it's art, right? So who knows where Christopher Allen's gonna be? He's a Stormbreaker. We'll see where that goes. And I foresee at least an artist could get places, because I see Latino artists making it to the top, Pepe Raz and other people from backgrounds where they're not white people, because they're artists. Carmen, what's her name? Carmen Sandiego? No. Carbonano? What's her name? Carmen Carnero. Anyways, there's these foreigners who do their thing and they advance.
Natasha Bustos, yeah.
You feel me? So what was Marklin asking us about? How do we get them? Well, it's to buy the books is one part of it, but then now it's on Marvel's side, and Marvel needs to go, yes, we are going to make it so that this writer, this Cody Ziegler, who's selling Miles Morales Spider-Man, it's selling. I give a lot of credit to Brian Michael Bendis, but the comic sells. What's next for him? It's really Marvel's decision, because the people are doing their part when it comes to Miles Morales' current writer. The last guy, Saladin Ahmed, the former guy, where is he? Is he doing that circle?
He's writing
Captain Marvel.
Yeah, he's writing Abbott again now.
He's not writing the Hulk. He's doing Iron Man, or
no, he's doing independent stuff.
Oh, so like.
But Chill, I think you also think. I think it's shifted. What you're making a valid point. Because I didn't look at it that way. And that, like, hey, I don't see Black people advancing to the quote unquote mainstream,
to the circle, to where you start doing the Avengers. Maybe an event tie-in to when you start doing Fantastic Four. That circle of like 7-8 titles,
who controls,
which have a rotation. Al Ewing is going to do each and every one of them. That circle.
Who controls the circle?
Marvel editorial.
Right. But I also think
editorial. So
most people don't care about trying to get to that circle. They want to write what they want to write, and they want to be out.
Yes,
I wrote what I want to write. I wrote Black Panther, and I want to leave.
Understand. Doing work for the big two is great exposure. A lot of people do it. A lot of creators do it just so they can get exposure.
Agreed.
They don't necessarily, because understand, it's not in a creator's best interest long term, if they truly want to create, to stick just with DC and Marvel, in my opinion. Because I agree with you. I'd say that same thing. You're not going to own that IP. If you're cool with creating this brand new character that they're going to use in the movie, and you're going to do is get an invite to the red carpet premiere, and that's it. You might have your name in the credits, and that's it. Then you're fine with that. But most creators that I've come across usually like, I want to create my own stuff. I want to get acknowledged for the creations that I make. And quite frankly, from a financial perspective, I want to make money off of stuff I make.
Boom. And that's the kind of vibe I got from.
You can't do that. You can't do that at DC and Marvel. You can't do that, because whatever you create for them, they own for life. Their contracts have been renewed redone a long time ago. You're not getting extra checks off of the stuff that you create for DC and Marvel.
Work for hire, baby.
So it's work for hire. So You can use DC and Marvel to get the exposure that you need so that you can get hired and go do your own thing. And indies are blowing up. Indies are blowing up. Ever since the pandemic, I don't know what it is, but Boom, Vault,
I know.
Titan.
Paul, I'll
You
tell you
know.
exactly what it was. You were stuck in the house. Perfect.
Right.
My LCS called me, said, "Hey, I got these books sitting here. Do you want them? I'll mail them to you." That's exactly. He emailed me, and I said, "Yeah, send them to me." And I started reading more indies that way, right there.
And these
Stuck in the
creators
house.
get to do what? They get to keep their check. They create a character, they sell a book, they get to keep a portion of that check.
Oh yeah.
And look, the indie people, they're trying to sell stuff to movie studios just as well. Mark Millar, that guy built an entire career off of creating stuff he hopes for Netflix, right? He's Netflix's guy. He's in a contract with Netflix. Anything he creates, Netflix has first option on.
That is so sick.
So I mean, that's where it's at, because Amazon has this The Boys now,
They had the
Right.
Boys and Invincible. Yeah, that's what they have
and
right now.
Invincible. I
They've
mean,
already done
and
a
these are
Boys spinoff,
indie.
Gen V. You know,
I'll put anything and any of those Boys or Gen V or Invincible against anything Marvel's done in this last phase.
I agree, because I mean, Gen V to me was the dark horse.
I
I
love
didn't
Gen
see
V.
it coming. I didn't see it coming. I was like, this is gonna be whack. And I was
Gen
wait,
V
this
was
is
dope.
this is good.
Put that up against some of the stuff we've seen in this Marvel Phase 4 or 5, whatever we're in right now. It's better. And that came from an independent work. So independents are breathing down Marvel and DC's neck right now.
So I guess, Chill, to answer your question, nobody, for what I see, a lot of people you name, yeah, maybe they didn't get in that circle, but also I think, to Paul's, but they didn't want to be in that circle. They wanted to get enough recognition to go build their own and try and
Yes.
build their own.
They didn't want to be in this circle
I mean, everybody,
They're
yeah.
not
If
gonna-
you're,
they realistically realize that it is unlikely they will ever be in the circle.
because they see Jackson and Lanzig getting into that circle. They see Matthew Rosenberg getting into that circle relatively quickly, but then they go, "Oh, you just want me?" Like, look at Eve Ewing, Ironheart, Champions. Well, Marvel team up for like 3 issues with Kamala and Spider-Man. Photon. I said the Marvel Voices 1 page with Storm, but that doesn't count. And then we get to
She's
T'Challa.
worked on several characters that are in the MCU. Those
But
are
it's
all
also
hard-
her
Are you
side,
saying that like it's a good thing? Because I'm gonna remind you that they're not on that top tier of circle. Like, what's her name? What's her name from Ms. Marvel? G. Willow Wilson. Yo, if you can carry one of our titles for 50 plus issues, you have to be valuable. But she is in that glass ceiling. Yeah, you can do Ms. Marvel for all these years. Oh, you're done? You ran out of stories to tell? Understood.
What books go to 50 titles anymore?
Captain Marvel did it recently. Immortal Hulk did it once. I think Wolverine. X-Force is doing it now.
Yeah, X-Force is hitting 50. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe Jason Aaron did it.
I was
maybe?
being facetious. I'm talking about the fact that they keep renumbering everything. Coming up
I mean,
with new volumes. It's annoying.
But
I
when
mean,
it does happen, though, it is a feat, and that feat was not rewarded. G. Willow Wilson's next job was doing Wonder Woman over on DC. G. Willow Wilson wasn't looked at within the company of you're valuable enough to keep us. No, you're valuable in your tier. You'll never do Daredevil. What are you thinking? You're there in the Ms. Marvel. Maybe we'll give you Squirrel Girl if you're lucky, and we'll call
Or
you.
maybe the stint in Marvel allowed her to make a bigger check somewhere else.
Oh my goodness!
I would love to hear the
No.
creator
Let me,
say
Paul,
this.
let me get that to Paul. Paul is correct in saying that. It's
Mhm.
just not the conversation I'm having. I'm just trying to reinforce the ceiling over at Marvel and DC.
Look, if you're asking if I agree with you on that, there's absolutely a ceiling at Marvel.
Cool.
That Marvel editorials is what controls Marvel. Everybody
Now,
knows.
who's that editor that I just learned about? That I just discovered today? That what's his name was telling me about DC. What's his name? Morgan. What's his name?
Or Marquise Draper, wasn't it?
Marquise
Yeah.
Draper.
Marquise Draper. He's the reason why we've gotten this larger influx of black content from DC. Shout out to that guy. That guy is working his ass off.
Now, with that knowledge, I believe money being spent on a book he is editing is money being spent on a guy because he's in there for the long run. I don't think he's going to go do movies.
Yeah.
I would love for him to be the Tom Brevoort one day, or Brevoort, how you say his name.
All right.
He's got to
I would
start
love to
somewhere. Just
support-
having someone who's that high up in editorial, and understand, he's not the head editor. He's like an associate editor.
And I want to help him get there.
So you want to help him get to that spot where he's in the inner circle at DC and he can put other people on. That's what he's doing right now. So yeah, I absolutely, when you talk circling this all back to what the original conversation was with these Black History Month books, I want to support, and that's a book he worked on. So I want to support those efforts because you want to help him sell units. You want him, you want to help these artists and these creators that he's putting on and help them get recognized. And, you know, it's got to start somewhere. Is it the best stuff in the world? Probably not. But you got to support it if you want to get more.
And while I have this history of watching these writers climb the ladder and then they're out the company, like the guy who wrote Black Panther before Eve, the guy before him, and, you know, all the examples I gave you, I don't have a history.
I was going to say, or Image Comics in the 90s. That's how they got founded.
I don't have a data or a point of reference of an editor who only could make it so far. Like, I can't say that my money going to this editor is going to go nowhere. I don't have that. I have to.
I mean, McDuffie was an editor, wasn't he, Paul? Dwayne McDuffie was an editor.
Oh, he died.
Editors make lateral moves. They move from one company to another. There's
and so was Priest. Priest was an editor too.
Really, in the company.
Priest was an editor who chooses not to be an editor anymore.
Priest had a lot of problems, I think, when he was editor at Marvel. I think so.
Yeah,
so I shouldn't use that at all when I'm thinking of my boy Marquise Draper. What was his name? I keep forgetting.
Marquise Draper.
Is that name? Marquise Draper? Yeah, that guy. My new friend. And he's young too. Look, I'm on his page right now.
He's a young guy.
Yeah, like this guy has promise. Like I foresee potential here with Marquise Draper.
He's very well respected by the creators that have done work for him. Every creator I've interviewed that has worked with Marquise has nothing but good things to say about the guy. So
I'm happy.
Hats off to him. I wish him nothing but the greatest success.
And you know what? I'm looking at it now. He has Justice Society of America, which is a hot title at DC. And,
look at that list that you have there, Chillmark. Those are all books that he was editor on. He's responsible for all that.
Justice Society of America, which is an ongoing series that
was actually a pretty good series. The Justice Society of America.
It's over right now.
It
has a number of Black characters in it.
Yeah, but I mean they're not the lead. But okay, that's something. Fine. Mr. Terrific on the cover, right here, and it's an ongoing series, so it's good to know he's moving units. Now, what's he doing currently?
I mean, currently I see he has the Wesley Dodds Sandman. Let's see, what else do I see? Well, J.A. Carrot Flash just finished, and he has Justice Society.
Alan Scott, the Green Lantern.
Yep, that just finished. Looks like he had that.
This is weird. At DC, you're just editing Flash, Green Lantern. It's not like the X-Men office, the Spider-Man office.
But that Flash book had a sub story with Mr. Terrific.
Is it like what you said, where the last few pages are just a whole different story?
No. It's not
Mr. Terrific was part of that story.
Mr. Terrific's been popping up in all types of DC books.
Yeah, he was Flash's boss. Yeah,
one of those books. Flash's son not Flash. Mr. Terrific's son got introduced in, I think it was one of the Flash books.
It was a conclusion of Jeremy Adams' run on Flash. That's when they introduced it. Jeremy Adams just got moved over to Green Lantern.
So when you're an editor, you could be working on a quote unquote white book, but find ways to either get Black talent to work on it so they get exposure, or sneak in Black characters that way into the mainstream audience. And the mainstream audience is like, oh, I'm familiar with Mr. Terrific. He's the guy that's in that Flash book.
Yep. And we know when the Superman Legacy movie comes out in July of next year. So that's 15 months from now. They have 15 months, or he does, to elevate this character to where after Superman Legacy comes out, there will be interest from the comic book audience to read a Mr. Terrific book. So to the comic books, make him important in your Green Lantern, in your Flash. Is that what's happening right now? It sounds like
that's exactly what's happening.
So he's smart.
If you watch DC Comics, you see that Mr. Terrific's popping up all over the place.
Because when James Gunn Strange Adventures with Mr. Terrific,
tweeted that.
He said that. Yeah, he said that. He
tweeted Mr. Terrific, and then all of a sudden, Mr. Terrific books started flying off shelves. People like buying Mr. Terrific books because James Gunn tweeted it.
You mean series in the past, like trade paperbacks and other appearances
No,
started
his
selling?
past books. He hasn't
Yeah,
had
I
an
mean,
ongoing
because
book in a
James
while.
Gunn specifically, he referenced Mr. Terrific and Strange Adventures,
Strange Adventures.
the Tom King book.
Yeah.
You know, it kind of had a homage to In the Heat of the Night, where Mr. Terrific basically slapped Sardor the same way Mr. Tibbs slapped that white guy in the Heat of the Night.
It was a dope
I know the
series.
exact slap.
It was a dope series. It was a low key Mr. Terrific series, although he was not the title character.
Yeah, Adam Strange was the title character, but you're right. It was really about Mr. Terrific investigating Adam
Yeah.
Strange. That's what
Yeah.
it really is about.
It really was more of a Mr. Terrific story.
So he's got this agenda. I'm playing. Well, he does. He does have an agenda. It's just that it's one that I'm favorable on, and it seems like so I would say to him, if I could talk to him, focus on Mr. Terrific, knowing that Superman Legacy is going to do something. It's a James Gunn movie. It's going to sell well. More people will see, and interest will be there. Don't think the same. Don't think like I can do everybody. No. Concentrate your efforts on getting Mr. Terrific popping.
That's the way you do it organically. Is it look? If they simply just gave Mr. Terrific his own series,
Mhm.
would it sell?
Not right now. Not
Not
right
right
away. Not just for no reason. No.
For no reason, no.
Night Thrasher.
And in order
Right,
to
Night
be to be really big, you can't just be big in the Black community. It's not enough.
It's clearly not
You
enough.
have-
We were just looking at sales data before you got here, and we saw like it's 10,000 units sold for these
Right.
Black comic books until they're disappearing.
The characters have to be appeal to the larger community. It has to appeal to everybody. The best way to sort of organically marinate these characters is what they're doing is they're sprinkling them in all these other books and making people familiar with them who are buying the Flash book or the Justice Society book or what have you, a Justice League book, and they're familiar with the character because he pops up in all these books. Then when he blows up, he shows up on the screen and you're like, oh, I want to see more of that guy. That's when you release his solo book and capitalize on the interest and knowledge that people have of the character at that point.
Word.
So keep your eye on Mr. Terrific. I think that guy's going somewhere.
Chill. I like to see you bring Marquise Draper on your show. Or Paul, have you had him on Black Comic Lords yet?
I've tried. He's
Really?
Is he reluctant to come in?
Huh?
Is he reluctant to come in? Like I don't want to come.
No, he's just I've been told he's busy.
Which he
but
probably. I
that's-
mean, I didn't realize he was editing that many titles, so he probably is busy.
I have tried a number of times to get him on.
It is what it is, man. If he's busy, he's busy. But it's not like he needs the pep talk over here at YouTube to get to get his butt in gear. It sounds like he knows what to do. Maybe talking the
That would be
ability
an
to be.
interesting competition.
Do you know how many articles he could show up in? Marquise Draper was on Black Comic Lords, and did you hear what he said? He said he wants to advance. He said, and it got spun.
Yeah,
Just-
sometimes it's not best for everybody to see where you're coming from either. Sometimes you got to work. You're like, hey,
Exactly.
I've learned that too.
So this was, of course, March of 2020, the final, when Diamond was still around, and the Black Panther comic book for Ta-Nehisi Coates for issue 22 of I'm on the wrong side here. Issue 22 of Black Panther. It's the 125th hottest selling comic book, only 13,000 units sold. Ta-Nehisi Coates would go on for 3 more, and that would make his issue 25 of the intergalactic version. In total, it was 50 total comics, which is again like the finishing line we notice. So he does 50 comics of Black Panther, 13,000, and that was a number that was enough to continue and resume. Because 13,000, right? They didn't say,
Look at the comic right above his Detective Comics,
but it
which
says
which is literally one of DC's oldest comic books of all time.
Yeah, but it's a facsimile edition though, Paul. It's a reprint of 30
Oh
issue.
yeah, good point. I didn't see that.
if you want to know what Detective Comics did, like the real
Real
one,
Detective Comics does must do much better.
I'll tell you. Detective. It was 1,021, and it was this many units sold.
32.
42,000.
42,000.
Well, yeah. Sorry, yeah. You want to look over here? Yeah, 32nd place.
32nd place. But yeah, it's a hell of a difference.
ComicCron.com. Peeps, get familiar with it, learn it, but the cancellation, point is down here. So Magnificent Ms. Marvel 13. Actually, I think this was the first appearance. I think so. This doesn't count.
The interesting thing is when you're looking at this from the lens of Miles, the analysis of Miles, was this before or this was before his first movie came out? across Into the Spider-Verse, right?
His first movie was December 2018, and this was 2 years later, or a year
Also,
and a
this
half
was after the first movie. Okay.
after the movie. But you know, the 16th issue of Saladin Ahmed after years of Bendis, so people have gained a fondness to this character because they read Bendis, and you
Mhm.
know they
But
let him
Bendis
out.
is out of favor now, man. I mean, I remember when Bendis was the hottest thing in comics,
That's
and
not
now
my
it's like,
point. That's not my point. My point is that 25,000 units were selling for a book written by a guy with a low page rate. Excuse me. And it was enough. Like this character Miles Morales got special privileges because this top tier writer adopted 2 girls. Their skin was dark, and he decided,
I agree. I mean,
I'm
I
gonna get
agree.
woke.
I'm gonna get woke. He was like, I got black daughters who need to see themselves in my work. And that's what it came down to.
It sounds so like he's got machinations. I think he did it from a position of real love and genuine. I don't think there was anything not genuine about his desire to create the character. I applaud the guy for doing
And the same for Ironheart. But you know, what if we had more?
Naomi.
Yeah, I mean Naomi too. I mean, what if we had more white creators like, hey, you know what? I have a genuine love for this, and I want them to be represented. You know,
That's what it looks like.
That's-
We saw it when Jack Kirby did it. We saw it when Bendis did it.
We saw it when Tony Isabella did with Black Lightning. You saw it with Neil Adams with Green Lantern.
Don McGregor with Black Panther.
Don McGregor, Black Character. That's what I said. Being a good writer has nothing to do with your race. It has to do with you being a good writer.
Mhm.
So
But that's what the effort
criteria-
looks like. And
Huh?
when there's somebody in there, like let's just say Jonathan Hickman, he does pretty well with Black Panther when he did him in.
Yes, he did a
all the
great
other-
job.
So
I think more people like Jonathan Hickman's Black Panther than they like Priest's Black Panther. Looking at some of the posts I see in Black Comic Lures, I always see stuff from the Hickman Avengers run. Black
yeah,
Panther.
but that's just look how young we are. The internet age and everyone. It's like it's fresh
That's
memories.
an age. That's an age thing.
You
The
remember
art
when
was
You
better.
missed when I said that, Paul. I said people don't read anymore. They actually just look on Twitter to see pictures of comic books now.
Now, if a guy had Bendis level intentions, you know, with Bendis and his woke kick that he got on right before he left,
Stop saying that.
Okay.
well, it's exactly dictionary definition of what he was doing. He was like,
Who's
I am
dictionary?
yeah, who's dictionary? Urban Dictionary. I've been neglecting the live chats. Well, let me finish my thought out though. If Bendis didn't have the problems with the studio and all that stuff, because I think he was part of the MCU's committee of comic book people. If he was
He was in the
continuing,
inner circle.
yeah, if he was continuing with the company, he may be what we were complimenting Marquise Draper. What's his name?
Yeah,
Marquis Draper.
Marquis Draper.
He may have been a Marquise Draper there. He may have been like, yo, listen, I'm not a racist being. You guys saw me elevate Luke Cage during the Avengers, and
True.
as soon as I'm off, guess what? Dan Slott wanted nothing to do with him. Everyone, they didn't care about Luke Cage. I tried.
But that's what I talk about, having somebody editorial from the beginning. I like, you gotta have somebody editorial who
Who's on your side?
cares.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah, they
Dan
gotta
Slott
believe
was
you.
not my favorite editor.
And so he was the guy right after he had Mighty Avengers, I think. And Hickman had interest in Black Panther, but not Luke Cage. Luke Cage just kind of like
A writer. Dan Slott was a writer. Dan Slott did
But
Spider-Man.
Al Ewing got Luke Cage.
Ultimates.
And
Well, Paul, we talk about this all the time. Al Ewing just, whenever he touches a black character like Storm and X-Men
Photon.
Red or Sword,
that dude wrote the blackest Avengers team of all time.
led by Captain Marvel.
He doing master classes, Al Ewing,
No,
That's what he-
no, I'm talking about Mighty Avengers.
Yeah, you talking about Dan Slott, yeah.
No, I'm talking about Al Ewing.
Oh, well, you're
He
right.
did Mighty Avengers?
You're
Okay.
right. The Mighty Avengers it started with Spider-Man.
Well,
Superior
Luke
Spider-Man was in there.
Cage-
Yeah.
Luke Cage, Monica
Blue
Rambeau,
Marvel, Photon. I
Blade.
remember that now. Yep.
Oh, I don't remember this. I mean, I wasn't reading back then, so it's not like I didn't know this.
I will send you some stuff, man.
In fact, I
send
knew
you
it
the
was
names of
special.
books you need to go get. That's a great series.
I knew it was special when basically the lady asked Photon about her hair. I said, wait a minute. I had to who was this guy writing, asking a black woman about her hair? She's like, well, my daughter likes you because your hair always looks so good. I said, that's a black
And he made
thing
it
right
part
there.
of the storyline. How dope is
Yes.
that?
I looked up Al Ewing that day when I read that issue.
Right. Because you're like, no, nobody could pick up on the context of black hair, but a black writer. Nobody could do that.
Exactly. That's what I thought.
That's a culture thing. I mean, that's like, Why is it you don't go up to a black woman and go touch her hair? That's one of those type of moments, and he was able to write about that.
So there's no breakdown of what's the skin tone of or what's the percentage of male, female comic book readers, because that would need somebody to stand outside a store with a little clicker and be like, one for black, one for white, racially ambiguous.
Or somebody to
I wonder how they
people to self-report.
The breakdown of who buys comics. And what is he saying? So all the books that he is over is run by Jeff Johnson at DC for years. So I doubt he helped much.
Oh, you doubt that Mike Reese Draper is helping because the prior writer elevated these characters, and so just the residue of the prior guy is helping the Marquise Draper books? Maybe there's something to that.
I don't know.
But I know one thing. It'd look good if his comic books continue to sell and not give the excuse of you put Draper on and the counts go lower. I don't want that. Did King character assassinate Mr. Terrific? The YouTubers told me he did.
No.
King?
No.
What King?
Tom King.
Tom King
Oh.
and Strange Adventures. That was a good Mr. Terrific story. I mean,
That was a very good story. It was a good. I mean, you got to learn more about the character too.
I mean, shoot. I mean, I like the Terrifics by Gene. Was it Gene Luan? I like the Terrifics too. I
Which
like
introduced his wife,
right.
which is kind of cool as Miss Terrific. We already said.
From alternate universe where he died instead she does. You know, the deaths were reversed. You know.
Yeah, that was dope.
This writer, Jean Luan Yang, is this the one you're talking about who did Shang-Chi?
Yeah,
Okay,
he
now
did the Terrifics too.
He got like 20 issues of Shang-Chi, except they were all limited series and they were all like 5 issues. So, hot new number ones to get to 20, regardless. Right?
However you get to do it, man, if that's the way you get to do it.
But it sold, though. Did he sell, though? He sold, though.
No. What? He sold. Okay.
If he has to do 4 volumes at 5 issues each, that's still 20 issues.
And he gets to 20, yes. Now, this guy, good enough to sell 20 comic books with your company, right, Marvel? So after Shang-Chi, because, he matches that likeness to Asian people, Asian character, Asian writer. After that, what's next? Where is the ladder anymore? Oh, you mean right now I just learned that he's doing a DC comic, huh? Oh, so he's not in... He didn't... No matter how hard he worked over here, no matter how many Marvel voices... What's the Asian one? Marvel voices... I don't want to say something wrong, but the Marvel voices for Asian people that they did, no matter how many times...
Asian Spotlight, yeah.
Yeah, but I was going to say something about like a food or name something insensitive. I really was, but I don't want to get misconstrued or...
Oh, man, you on one tonight, chill.
I didn't do it. I'm off of that one. I'm not on it right now. I'm more chill than Monger. So no matter how hard, how much he advanced and how much work he did and how, you're worthy of doing 20 comic books with us here at Marvel Comics, believe in you, representation. Where is he now? Exactly. Like it's an imaginary ladder. And after 5 years of being a customer of drinking the Kool-Aid and believing I want to help and I think this is going to get somewhere. I know it doesn't.
If I was a creator, and this is just me speculating, if I was a creator, I would think the goal is to use DC and Marvel to build your fan base.
Boom.
Right? Build your fan base. Get your name out there. Because guys like you mentioned before, your Chip Zdarsky's, your Jonathan Hickmans, these guys, no matter where they go, DC, Marvel, Independent, they have a fan base that will follow them and buy whatever it is they come out with.
Simply because
perfect example.
I bet you the way Donny Cates. No, hear me out. How did Donny Cates get there? I think he did a Doctor Strange book, which is, he's down here. He did Venom, which was hot. He got rewarded with a Thor run. He got rewarded with.
Donny Cates got rewarded with King in Black for writing Venom. Because Donny Cates brought me back to Venom because I never really cared about Venom.
That's the reward. That doesn't happen for the Black creators.
And I think you're right about that because I can't think of any Black creator that actually maybe Dwayne McDuffie an event.
Dwayne McDuffie is the closest I think we've ever had something like that.
Which was Damage Control, which came out of what? Acts of Vengeance or something like that, Because Dwayne McDuffie was the man back then, so
Thank you, Guardians too. Yeah.
But that would be the goal is to just use Marvel and DC to I guess get your get your name, build your fan base, and then you can go create your own characters in an independent realm and get to own their IP in perpetuity, make money off of them that way.
That's cool. Yes.
Assuming you can't be part of the Cool Boys Club.
The reach that Black Panther, Storm have, we'll put Miles there also, even though he's a secondary version of Spider-Man. The reach that John Stewart Green Lantern has, thanks to being part of DC. Oh, you want me to stop on the secondary characters? I just brought up John Stewart. He's a secondary Green Lantern and a secondary John Stewart. Are you kidding me?
He's not.
Go on Twitter this week.
He is absolutely
Legacy
not.
characters.
There is an exception for John Stewart because he's not secondary because he's not even the second Green Lantern. He's the third Green Lantern.
Yeah, Gardner was actually the second Green Lantern, wasn't he? Of the modern Silver
I
Age.
wasn't
Good point.
speaking
He's
to-
actually the fourth Green Lantern.
I wasn't speaking to the order that they came in. I meant like Hal Jordan is the primary, most valued, used.
Hal Jordan is who
That's
fanboys
debatable.
love. Let's just be honest. That's who
That's
white
debatable.
fanboys love.
There's a
Hal
lot.
Jordan.
There's a whole generation of people.
You can
Who-
explain to
what-
me why,
when-
and I'll agree with you. Yes, I don't even
There's a
waste your
whole
time.
generation of people that when the Green Lantern movie came out with Ryan Reynolds, they were like, "Who's this guy? Where's the black dude, John Stewart?"
Yeah, it didn't matter. No matter how high he got, no matter what Dwayne McDuffie was able to push, it didn't matter.
Because a whole generation grew up as John Stewart as Green Lantern. They don't recognize Hal Jordan. Nobody's checking for Hal Jordan these days. Who cares about Hal Jordan? Really?
Yeah,
You got
Grant
some
Morrison,
old people that care about Hal Jordan,
Jeff Johns.
but the majority of if Jeff Johns cares so much for Hal Jordan, why isn't he writing Hal Jordan right now?
He was, and he made him in the New 52. It was Hal
That
Jordan.
was 13 years ago in New 52.
So Jeremy
And
Adams
the
is currently
residue,
right.
and it still sticks. He is still the primary guy.
I mean, no. I mean,
John Stewart's the primary guy now.
I would say John Stewart is probably the primary guy, and it acknowledged now as the most powerful Lantern. In that most recent issue of Green Lantern Origin,
is
they
the
basically
most
say
powerful.
that.
He is the most powerful Green Lantern.
Now, which surprised me was a shift because for a long time it had been Hal, but now they said, well, John could do this. John is basically, Green Lantern God at this
The
point.
last couple runs of Green Lantern, John Stewart have proven that John Stewart is the Green Lantern.
Tell me the creative team on Hal and the creative team on John.
Jeremy Adams is writing John right now. I mean Hal right now, and Philip Kennedy Johnson is writing
Johnson's
Green Lantern
doing-
War Journal.
John Stewart, yeah.
Oh, it's pretty even. How about the artists?
I couldn't tell you the artist.
The artist on John Stewart is excellent. I don't remember his name. I've never seen him before this book.
There we
his
go.
his art is fantastic.
Okay.
It's the first book I recall ever seen him on.
Okay, low page rate. I don't think I wanted to argue John Stewart today. I only brought him up because I was saying Black Panther,
You
Storm.
need to talk
and John,
to Richard about that, my boy Richard.
Yeah, I want to speak on the reach that DC and Marvel are able to accomplish. The benefits of a character being prominent for representation purposes. For representation is a double sword. It's helpful to the people who are of that likeness to have someone to aspire to lead them in a role model, and then there's the people who are not that way, who have someone to humanize with, and therefore they don't turn up to be or grow up or live their lives to be uninclusive, acts of racism, whether intentional, covert, or however. There's no it solves that. It eliminates racial bias. It's very good. So representation's cool. Marvel and DC have the power to push a character like Storm, or they have the reach with Storm, and they have the reach for Black Panther. I want to support those a lot. Like I think those are worthwhile. Getting those guys closer to the number one, and making sure they don't drift even further. I think with the cancellation of Ewing's Black Panther, that's like, it's not so good. If he was character number 15 on their rankings, he may have been knocked down a couple for not being able to carry a series. He's still hotter than Hawkeye. He's not down there yet, but he's. It was a shot.
Hawkeye. I just heard what you said.
He's still hotter than Hawkeye.
I
Hey, Paul, I just
absolutely-
noticed you're sharing the stream, so introduce.
Yeah, I just started sharing. I just realized I wasn't sharing it before. I hate Hawkeye.
I'm gonna put it like this. Hawkeye to me was my least favorite MCU series. I'm like,
He's
I don't
a
understand
useless
this.
tool. I just can't stand Hawkeye.
Well, Paul, my thing was like Hawkeye, especially coming out in
Before
after
your
Arrow.
Hawkeye rant, Markland, Paul is sharing the stream. Some people just hopped on a few seconds ago. Can just introduce them. We're talking about Black comic book characters, Black History Month, inclusion. We began, or earlier we were talking about Marquise Draper, who was an editor working at DC, and why it is paramount for this guy who's in charge of this little Mr. Terrific initiative, where he's making him appear here, making him appear there. We know that it's building towards an ongoing Mr. Terrific, and we think he's got the foresight to begin that July of 2025, when the Superman Legacy movie pops, and when Eddie Adebayo is playing him. What's his name? You know, the actor. When Mr. Terrific shows up on screen, we believe there will be a book. So we all decided that Marquise Draper, the editor, is someone who you go, you know, if you're on the fence, do I buy this book? Do I not? Buy the book.
I agree.
Support the work the dude's doing over at DC. Low key, helping to develop the next generation of Black talent. But also giving you the greatest plethora of Black renaissance at DC that we've had in a long time.
Marklin, go ahead. Your rant.
I don't have to do my rant. I just I agree with Paul.
You hate Hawkeye too?
I don't hate him, but that was my least favorite MCU series. I'm like, what's the point of this? I mean, Arrow did it better. Arrow did it better at this point.
There's that Thunderbolts book that came out was it last year with Photon?
With Photon, yep.
And it was like the two of them are vying for leadership, and she's literally like,
but Photon's the real leader.
Exactly. That was
she's
part
the
of the
real
storyline. She's like,
she's the real leader.
I used to actually lead the Avengers. He's like, so did I. I led West Coast Avengers. He's like,
she's like, no, I led the actual original team, the East Coast.
He's like, you could tell. She's like, you're such a frat boy tool. I can't stand you. And it just came across in the comic, even though she didn't actually say that. And that's exactly how I felt reading.
I mean, but reading that book, I was like, she's obviously a leader. Hawkeye thinks he's a leader, but she's actually the leader.
Yeah, he got the job because she turned it down initially.
Right.
And he didn't realize that.
It reminded me of Next Wave Agents of Hate by Warren Ellis, because she was the leader in that too. Basically.
One of the things I really appreciate, Killmonger, is your good looks. I don't know if you created it, but I'm going to say that you created it because I've never heard anyone else say it.
Temporary representation.
Temporary representation, man. That's the most real. I give you mad props on that term, because it really summarizes what we see going on in comics today. And you did a post today specifically on that.
Yeah, I updated
with
it. It was about
Fantastic Four.
So I'm gonna post this on Instagram. I didn't have the one with Chris Evans originally, but yes, race swaps never last, guys. When it was 2015, I'm sure everybody said, I'm sure all you guys were like, I feel so represented. Michael B. Jordan playing a Black representation. This is awesome. You fools, you idiots. What the studio got to do was say, we are casting the percentage of Black that we need to be fulfilled. But long term, what good did it do? Because Homeboy on 2025, this guy gets casted to play Human Torch. The benefits of representation and the effects of it were not felt with these temporary representations.
I mean, you should have hashtagged that on this picture.
This what you said is true, but it's also out of context. I mean, maybe protects a little bit out of context. Got to realize Michael B. Jordan has become one of the biggest Black stars in the world, and this was part of his ladder, his stepping stones. This is what roles that got him where he needed to be.
He already did Creed.
He hadn't done Creed in 2015. He hadn't done Creed in 2015.
No, I don't think he did Creed until after that.
No.
Creed was 2015. Creed 2. Okay, I may be wrong. I may be wrong.
But Michael B. Jordan, because for those, he was I knew him as Wallace on The Wire. That's what I knew him from. And then he showed up in what's that movie where they all had the powers? The teenagers had the powers.
Oh crap.
I can't think what it is, but the guy who directed that movie, he's the one who directed the Fantastic Four movie. So he basically, hey, I like working with you on the movie where the people had the powers. I'm doing this Fantastic Four movie. Come with me to do that. And Michael B. Jordan just kept working after that, and then he got Creed and blew up. Stephen Barnes I was talking to him on Facebook. He said, man, Michael B. Jordan is the most successful Black movie star because he's allowed to have sex on screen. So he said something to that extent. He's a lot of Black people aren't. Chronicle. That's it. Chronicle.
Yes, Chronicle.
Thanks, Grand Region. And Region also said to us up here, I thought that the Black Panther comic was selling like crazy. Ultimate Black Panther sold in stores. It sold well. But stores pre-ordered 2 months in advance. And they did not pre-order an appropriate amount. They got The regular Black Panther level of pre-orders. So when you hear it's sold out, can't be found anymore.
And the 12,000 missing help too.
That too. It
The
sounds
Philly Palette.
cool that it's sold out in the stores, but when you think of how sales are calculated, it's not a feat. It's not that cool.
And you all know that it was actually the Cult of Bass that got rid of those 12,000 issues, right?
Is that what happened? It fell off a truck, didn't it?
I wonder where those 12,000 gonna show up at one day.
Looks like playing Johnny Storm is like Marvel voices. You start off as Johnny, then become a legend on your next character.
I mean, but also that Fantastic Four movie in 2015 didn't do well. I saw it in the theater. I'm like, it got confusing. It didn't know what it wanted to be, a superhero movie or a horror movie, and I was like, what's going on here?
What a terrible comment. Kate Bishop folded Kingpin. So for power scaling, Kate Bishop is a Kingpin, and then it's Daredevil. Shut up. When it comes to popularity, it's Daredevil. In this this point, because I think I just popped this up and I started talking instead of letting Paul finish what he was trying to say. So you liked this post. You thought it was like, what?
Yeah.
How did it
I
speak
mean,
to you?
it was a good example of why temporary representation should not be the goal. It is not a worthwhile substitute to genuine representation, which is having original Black characters be portrayed and promulgated in the way that other characters are.
The franchises that exist right now, the Tales, the Nighttime Bed Stories, lean white, or they're fictional animals or like boys made out of wood with noses that grow, but they lean white. The Tales, the superheroes, everything leans white. Solution would be having another character whose skin is melanated and just as popular as you name it. Clifford the Big Red Dog, just as popular as Paw Patrol. I'm naming all the dogs. Scooby-Doo. Imagine if there was a...
Would that be not Dora the Explorer?
Dora. Dora made some waves, and that's cool. SpongeBob.
What's the Black Doctor character? I don't have
Muffins.
Yes.
Okay. Now,
I think it's even a step further than that. Chill. It's not just about the temporary representation. It's also a smaller part of a larger issue of lack of originality. They just keep recycling the same characters.
Yeah, because there's disinterest. There's a realization that we're doing another white movie, and we have these inclusion standards that we're not meeting.
I don't mean the whites. I'm talking specifically about reusing the same characters. The Fantastic Four. This is going to be the third
one. Yep.
The fourth, if you count the one that they
Roger
banned.
Corman.
I mean, this is the fourth iteration of Fantastic Four in movies. And there are so many, there are thousands of comic book characters, thousands.
But Paul, the thing is old-ish sales. And I mean, when I look at that, I get what both of y'all
said about Fantastic Four. They don't care about the kids aren't going to be rushing. Oh, Fantastic Four! I'm so excited! I can't wait to see Fantastic. Kids don't know who the Fantastic Four are.
I mean, you're right. I mean, but they gonna get a certain amount of box office off. I'm not excited about the casting. I'm just curious to see what the MCU is going to do with the Fantastic Four. That's it. I'm just curious what they're going to do.
I would be more curious to see what the MCU is going to do with Young Avengers or something different. Just put new characters out, man,
And I'd also say, if I was an up-and-coming actor, Black or white, I would still go out for Johnny Storm because I'm like, hey, I mean, because the past two people have blown up since they played Johnny Storm. I'm like, hey, it's a good role.
It was a good luck charm.
That's what I would do. This guy, he's big. I mean, I know him from Stranger Things. That's what I know him. He played Eddie on Stranger Things. But
yeah, I remember him from Stranger Things.
That's what I look at him like, hey.
And he was a scene stealer in Stranger Things. But yeah, man, I think it's a larger issue. Race swapping is a byproduct of the same of what I'm talking about. Is because they don't want to move from the same paradigm of using the same characters. They're trying to recycle it any way possible. They're trying to put a slap of paint on the same object, but they're not changing the object. They're just changing the colors on the object, changing the gender on the object, but they're not changing the object. Make a new product, put other products on. You have lots of them on your shelf. Just pick one up, dust it off, and put it out for people to enjoy.
Shang-Chi, Eternals, Moon Knight. But they're not
Guardians of the
movies.
Galaxy is a perfect example.
Yeah.
But he
And-
named
but it
other
was
stuff. I mean,
sandwiched in between some other less risky
mean,
things.
But
Ms.
it
Marvel.
was original. No one knew about the Guardians of the Galaxy. Most people that buy comics don't even know about the Guardians of the Galaxy.
They've been leaning towards a lot of experimental characters recently and flopping, and Thunderbolts is no exception. That's gonna do poorly.
So are you saying that Paul's saying, hey, let's use stuff other than the standard Fantastic Four, X-Men, Avengers, and you're saying, well, hey, they did that and it didn't work, but did it not work because of racism?
No, I think it didn't
No.
work because it wasn't done well. And then on
Right.
top of it, they introduced it in the subsequent phase that had no coherency to it whatsoever.
Yeah, poor rollout, sure, yeah, because they could have succeeded with these. So what I'm saying doesn't matter because it's more. So, it was their problem. What you're saying, you're also saying it should be good. You're not just also saying you just do it for the sake of doing it.
You can't just be you can't half-ass it. You got to actually this whole last Marvel phase has been half-ass. They have not.
There have been gems. Guardians 3, Spider-Man, No Way Home.
True.
But that's why they're saying we're over quality over quantity now, because they did put out a lot of stuff because I think it was stockholders' demand. Well, you got to get us more money. So okay, we're gonna do these movies. We're gonna do these MCU shows. To
I
get
know
you
what
more
quality
money.
over quantity means. You said enough. Like you don't got to explain that phrase. I got you. I just disagree. I think it was just bad writing.
Average Comics Joe says, I think race swapping isn't as great for representation than you think. We didn't say it was great for representation. That was the opposite of what we said.
I don't think I said this. If I was a black actor, I would still go for the role of Johnny Storm. That's what I said. You know, they cast me. You know.
And
Yeah,
I would
make it
tell
work.
you that your casting allows the studio to fulfill the black, and you just robbed from a black casting that could be an everlasting new franchise that grows and grows and grows, or a character that will remain.
I don't know. I think we'd have that conversation with Michael B. Jordan because I think it's a stepping stone in Hollywood. You get.
I'm
what
telling you
get.
that 21st Century Fox in 2000.
You're obviously a Michael B. Jordan fan.
I'm telling you
I was
that
a Michael B. Jordan fan.
the studio that produced the 2015 movie of Fantastic Four, where they casted Michael B. Jordan, because of that casting for that year, they were doing enough black castings, and so it took from a potential.
You're
cast-
saying it's a we've reached our number of black castings we've made for this year because
Yes.
Michael.
And one of them was
show
wasted.
me the statistic for that. I mean, and it may be an internal. Don't get me wrong. I don't put anything past Hollywood and racist. Like, oh yeah, well we hit our number for black people.
Instead
That's
of
what I'm saying.
having
That's what
Michael
I'm
B.
telling you.
Jordan be cast as Johnny Storm, why not cast Michael B. Jordan as the new Spawn that year?
There we go. I mean, but Spawn's a character who wears a mask and is all covered up. So the benefits of representation is that for 2 hours we see melanin, like we see skin, and we value and we cheer for that.
Spawn has
So-
skin, it's just all burnt up and crispy.
As Ahsoka Tano with Rosario Dawson being all painted orange. Hey, black casting, you're right. But the benefits of representation aren't felt. Voice acting all the time. Like, with the genie from Aladdin. Will Smith is there, but blue. So or how much
I mean,
Princess
I'm
and the
thinking like,
Frog turns into a frog all the time.
you know, we give him a character like a Amazing Man or something like that. That would have been a good idea.
There you
know,
go.
Like, you know, I'm thinking like, all right, a little known black character. We get a high profile black actor to play him. You know, that will blow it up. You know, people
It
go,
would,
oh,
yeah.
who's this Amazing Man? You know,
That's one reason I'm kind of excited by Mr. Terrific. Even though technically Mr. Terrific is a legacy character in the fact that there was another Mr. Terrific before him, but those characters literally have like nothing.
if people don't know who the
do
Fantastic
with
Four is,
each
they
other.
damn sure don't know Terry Sloan was the first.
Nobody
Mr. Terrific.
nobody knows that guy. It's from 1940. Whatever.
Exactly.
Nobody-
You and I
nobody
know it
knows
because we read comic books, but you know, the general public ain't gonna know that.
Nobody knows who that prior character is. It's like a legacy in name only because they have nothing to do with each other. Ryan Reynolds made Deadpool work without his mug.
It was still Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds has a schmick.
I think this is like a comeback or a clapback at something that I said about how like the face isn't being shown. And maybe you're misunderstanding my point. He's white.
Yeah.
The white representation isn't something that is as urgent and needed as black representation or people with melanin in their skin representation.
See, this is what Millennial Comics says. Highest level black owned property, getting a movie, levels for black people winning. I mean, yeah. But we have to own our own studios, right?
I mean, we do. I mean, look, who owns the studio right now?
Oh,
Tyler Perry
wait.
could do
Doesn't
it.
Tyler Perry have one?
Ty-
Oh, wait.
Monique-
Isn't that good enough that even Marvel rents it?
Yeah, but Monique told me not to play around with Tyler Perry, and so did the Boondocks. Aaron Magruder told me
Let
not
me shut
to.
up before he ruins my career.
You know,
I mean, I had the same conversation with my father about Byron Allen. He's, well, nobody talks about us stuff Byron Allen does. Yeah, but Byron Allen, people say he underpays people. He's anti-union. He's this and that.
anti-union isn't as bad as I
You know-
think. When I just experienced what the union with the big strike thing had just happened. Now, can I just say though, Black Sands Entertainment was on Shark Tank. Kevin Hart said, when you come with me, that's why I want 30%, because I'm the one-stop shop for animation. I'll put you in those rooms. I can get you that. That episode is a couple years old now, and I don't see the Black Sands Entertainment Netflix. I don't see it. Any
So
thoughts on that?
basically, are you saying that Monique? Because Monique talked about Kevin Hart as well. Said, Kevin Hart said da 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 this, and he did write me a check, but when he said whatever you
followed
want to
Cat
do,
Williams, and apparently they got some other things they got to do to get on into the Illuminati.
Well, Mark Lynn, to answer your
Hey.
question with the little Dwayne Johnson, one eyebrow is raised.
Don't make fun of Dwayne. That's my boy.
hey, I just saw him because he came to when he came out. That was in Birmingham in WWE. We were very surprised to see him. What?
Out of the table. Oh, but does anyone have an answer to that though? The Black Sands thing, or are you aware of the Shark Tank episode?
I wasn't aware that.
Everyone's familiar with the Shark Tank episode.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happened since then.
We need to get them on and ask them, like, hey, what happened? I mean, I'm like, let's take it to the source. Let's ask these people, hey, what happened that you can say with minus any NDA you may have signed or whatever, talk between the lines, like reach out to Black Sands Entertainment, like, hey, what happened since then?
Yeah, Manuel something, right?
What are you talking about?
The guy who runs Black Sands, his name is Manuel.
Oh,
Paul, chill, y'all got shows, man. Reach out to him, like, hey, man, I want you to come on and talk about this.
No,
what
I've
can we
never
do?
interviewed. I'm not Black Comic Lords. I'm too.
I'm not Black Comic.
I'm not. Can you imagine? Hey, Eve Ewing, first question. Why is this guy not the king anymore? You're in charge of writing it. You better tell me that. And if she tries to dance around, I'm gonna say, no, listen to me, ma'am. That other writer did something.
Ma'am, you gonna ma'am her?
Are you gonna do something on the last page of your comic book to direct, the way that the story needs to be told later on? Because that's what he did.
You know what? I love your hate. I'm entertained by your hate of.
You better not say the word.
This is your
Mephisto.
so I'm not gonna say it. The current writer of damn, he writes something I'm reading right now that I actually liked him to.
He did a DC Power story. He did one of those.
The Ministry of Compliance.
Yes, I'd like that, Paul. I need to write a review for that. I'm gonna tell you this now. I got a bunch of stuff.
Look, you are.
I know.
You're
I am behind. I'm very behind.
I gave you one job. You have one freaking job for Black Comic.
One job that doesn't pay.
And I'm still waiting on my inbox.
All right, I got to do DC Power.
You were actually gonna have a meeting about you this weekend too.
Man, don't have a meeting about me. I ain't be there for the
meeting. What the hell is
meeting.
Mark Killen doing? Why is he not? He didn't show up to the meeting. He's supposed to tell us about his assignment, but okay.
I don't even remember what my assignment was, but I do know Derek talked to me. Derek,
you don't know what your assignment? You don't know your assignment now?
I don't know what my assignment was now.
Wow.
Did he just leave us on his show?
Well, he left us in his own show.
How you leave somebody in their own show?
You guys gonna talk about your Black Comic Lord's inner business. I'm just gonna leave the show. Chill, come back, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you,
I
Manuel.
didn't mean to air the dirty laundry, man. That's my bad.
Manuel Gooday. It was his name, or Goday.
Godoy.
Godoy. Well, I hope he's having a good day. Chill dipped. Chill was okay with not being part of that conversation.
I tell you, a guy you need to invite is Donnell Young from Millennial Comics. if you want a good perspective on representation in comics. Because
Okay.
very, very, very good guy to talk to.
I'm gonna forget
Well-
that you recommended that, so please,
It's being recorded. Just play it later.
yeah, just go
What
to the 2 hour
about-
and 9 minute mark. I'll remember where it was. Yeah.
There you go. Just go to
What about Unique Studios? I bought something from them, but I can't remember what it was.
They're
Unique
African,
Studios is they're very slept on, and they have a very high quality product. Their books are excellent. They've built their own universe, of characters,
Right.
and they're writing an artist. The art is as good as anything you'll see at Marvel and DC.
I agree. I mean, I
Hey,
completely agree.
frustrated. Thank you for the $5. Appreciate your support, man.
Whoop whoop.
But I bought when I saw they were in previews, I had my LCS order something, but I don't remember what it was.
I just got what came out a week or two ago was the book Aloris.
EXO, that's what I got. EXO. I had to think about it for a
EXO?
second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wale, what's his name? Wally Williams. EXO. But
I
yeah,
mean,
they had their anthology book Aloris that came out a week or two, which has all of their books in one, like the bunch of their characters in like one main crossover storyline.
I need to get that then.
Sort of like the milestone returns kind of thing, where
Yeah.
while
yeah.
it was an anthology, they were also issue 0 of Hardware, issue 0 of Static. It was the beginning, and it had a lot of importance, like Exo
Right.
Man of War.
Bo Big, what's up, man? EXO Man of War. No, it's a different EXO. It's EXO Wale Williams.
Yeah,
He's a character from-
XE period
E-
X
EXO,
period
yeah.
O. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good. I mean, I bought it. I mean, but you missed the process. I'm the kind of person if it's somebody black doing it, a black writer, black artist, black character, you pretty much don't sold me. I'm like,
Man,
hey,
is Valiant Comics still making comics right now?
yeah, they are. They just put out XO Man of War number 6 last week.
One of my favorite characters is Shadow Man. That's a dope character. That's a character I can't. There was a rumor that they got optioned to do that as a movie. If ever there is a character that Netflix or Amazon should option and make into a little mini series, definitely Shadow Man. That could be huge. That would be absolutely huge.
I read the Shadow Man run that Cullen Bunn did, and I enjoyed it, but I don't think I have the love for the character that all y'all have. So maybe I missed some of those old
It
stories.
depends on the run. The best run was the one, I think it was by something Andy Diggle. That's what got me interested in Shadow Man.
Really? Andy Diggle wrote Shadow Man.
Hold
Okay.
on, I think it was Andy. Let me not speak out. of turn.
You putting down Andy Diggle, Chill?
No,
Oh.
I'm trying to say that Bo Big HHB3 said, "What did the 5 fingers say to the live stream?" And he dropped $5 on the live streams.
Wait, look at that. Getting that $5.
Appreciate you, bro. That's dope.
Concrete
It was
Comics.
volume 4 that came out in 2013, and it was written by Patrick Zurcher, who was also the artist. That's the run that made me love Shadow Man.
All right, I need to go back and find that.
Check out volume 4 of Shadow Man. Came out in 2013. That was a dope run. That's the best Shadow Man run, in my opinion.
This is new. This avenue from independent comic to video game.
That might be the
playing
play.
a new game. Yeah, it was already a video game.
Oh, so it was a game that went to comics. Okay.
No, it was a comic. Then it became volume 1 came out.
Yeah.
Then they came out with a video game by Acclaim Video Games. They had a volume 2 that came out that was in conjunction with the video game, and then volume 3 is the one I just talked about that came out in 2013.
How about that?
Yeah, that's a good point though, Richard. Chill is that it's one of the few independent comic characters. I don't know of another one that became a video game.
Unless Sonic was a game first.
Yeah, Sonic was the game first.
Yeah. How about that?
Did Spawn have a video game?
I'm sure he did he?
You guys have fingers and you're in front of computers.
I'm gonna look that up. But to my
If I
point
have
earlier,
to look it up.
I mean, to my point earlier, Paul, I said, I don't know too many black mothers who are taking their kids to comic stores, but I do know they take their kids to Walmart and Target and buy them video games all the time.
Well,
You went,
that's a topic for a whole other discussion, man.
yeah,
There's a
you
lot-
really did open a you did really open a can of worms. Can I ask you,
that's
Markland?
that's
Huh?
Have you thought? And we're not going to be here long, guys. Well, let's go 5 more minutes before we end this live stream. But
Okay.
all right.
Markland, how would you expand the readership? Because we know there's going to be people of colorless who don't want to read Black Panther, Static, and anything Marky Straper is working on. But how do you get comic books into the hands of people who will?
Digital. I would definitely go digital. Even though I don't like digital books, I would definitely go digital because digital are easy to access.
There was a Spawn video game by Acclaim. Apparently.
Okay, and that does not surprise me. And then I'd also would go in. I connected to music. Priest had the right idea. Album covers, having people do songs, related to comic books and stuff like that, playlists and stuff like that. And that was the right idea in video games.
Yeah.
That's the way I would do it. I would tie it in. You like this game? Read this comic. You like this song? Read this comic. Make it all digital.
So
people
these solutions sound expensive, where you would have to get Snoop Dogg isn't going to do anything. I think he told people he had his 250,000 for a feature is his like standard rate.
Yeah, but hell, I remember when Wu Tang had a comic book. Do you remember that, Paul? Wu Tang had a comic book.
The nine rings of Wu-Tang.
Yeah. So I mean, and Wu Tang was all about that. It's a correct term, vertical integration, where everything's connected.
Right.
I
Right.
think that's the way.
I agree with you. I think that's the way you do it. Everything is connected now. We're living the information age. The old paradigm of how you sell comics doesn't exist anymore. Simply saying we're going to sell it at the local bodega or just in comic shops, and that's going to support the industry. That's not enough anymore. If you truly want to be successful, you got to make it. If you want the physical comics, put them in places where people go. Put them in the Walmarts. That's the best spot. Put them in supermarkets so that kids can pick it up as they're walking around. But then it can't just be about the books anymore. I love Mark Helland's idea about digital. Digital is a way to do it, not just for ease of purchase, but price. Because digital you can sell a lot cheaper, and people have budgets. Like comics now are like $5-6. Kids can't afford that.
Can I just tell you though but they don't sell the digital comics for cheaper. It's $4, and they don't have to split any of that revenue with the comic book shops or the delivery or anything. It's still $4.
Well, for independent comics, oftentimes they usually sell their digital stuff cheaper.
And that's why I hated to say that, because I'm like, I don't want to cut the local comic book store out. But you asked me what I would do. I'm like, that's the way I would do it.
For sure. And I would imagine TikTok would play a part, or what's his name? Soups? What's that guy? What's it? Soups? The really hot TikTok guy who's young and he does comic book stuff. Soups.
Oh, I don't TikTok. I live at the Herschel. I don't know.
I TikTok, but I didn't find him.
Herschel will know Soups. Now, if Soups gets the opportunity, if DC or Marvel call him in and say, you're going to do a comic book, and he gets his fan base to go to the comic book shop to buy a comic book, just Soups would love the opportunity, just like Wu-Tang and Black Eyed Peas. They don't say no. Charlemagne, he didn't say no when they said, hey, come write this inconsequential story about the Avengers having a New Year's bash. Charlemagne said, I love comic books, I'll do it. And they'll do it once, and eventually they'll say, all right, it's worn its welcome, and I'm not going to continue doing these meaningless things, but still.
As you mentioned Charlemagne in the hip-hop world, I love Grand Regent Throg's comment. Put the rapper in the book for a panel, have the rapper tweet about it.
Boom.
That's smart.
Get permission for Cardi B. We're going to have your character say this. You okay with that? Yeah.
Look how well those Marvel hip hop cover variants sold.
If they co-sign it, and why wouldn't they? It's just free advertising, and it's a comic book.
Advertising. You gotta cross promote. Cross promotion is the key.
Yeah, and just under the circumstances that you.
Hey, Millennial, thank you,
Millennial
man.
Comics, $10.
This is the guy who I said, Chill, that you should have on your show and talk about representation in comics. If there's anyone that can have a good conversation about the subject, it would be him.
His name is what? Donald Young?
Yeah.
See, I remembered.
Von
I don't
L.
have-
Von
I
L.
don't-
Von L. Young. Von L. Young.
Von L. Well, I'll go back to the 2 hour and 9 minute mark for next time I want to remember this
I
guy's
know
name.
you don't like to do long shows, Chill. I know.
It's cool. It was worthwhile, and we went
I'm
really
sorry
hard.
if I said Donnell because I was thinking I just read Night Thrasher and his brother's name Donnell. Night Thrasher is a whole other subject.
Kid and Play. They did a Marvel comic.
They did.
They had a cartoon too.
They had a cartoon too.
I mean, House Party, man. When I was a little kid, House Party was it.
They
Nice.
had a
Original
cartoon
House Party.
too. So did MC Hammer. Cartoons.
You're right, Hammerman. I do remember that.
That's
What
how
was
you
going
know you're
on?
big.
Well, I got one for you, Chill. You know, now this definitely I was a little baby. Mr. T had a cartoon and a cereal.
Yeah, Miss T. Yeah, he had a cereal. The cereal. Oh my god, I forgot about cereal.
I remember that. I was a little
Miss T
kid,
cereal.
like crawling around, but I remember that, like Mr. T.
What the hell? King's Portal said House Party 3 was dope. Man, block this dude.
Bro, we got to end the stream on that. No way. We got
Damn,
10
that's-
bucks from Millennial Comics. Bo Big dropped 5, and then Frustrated Fan also did. We appreciate the money that you are giving to the Black Comic Lords. The effort and the brand, I can speak for them because we're good like that. This building
this is where you throw shade at me every time.
No, I was gonna help. I was gonna say that it is worthwhile because these networkers that write down here, and Mark Lynn as a contributor on the website on blackcomiclords.net are part of they're the ESPN of Black Comics. Every sport gets played on ESPN. They talk about it. Then there's the First Take morning show. Then there's that show, and there's the community aspect of reading a comic. You don't just read your comic book and go, that was good. You read your comic book and you go, you know what? On Wakanda Blurdom and Whiskey, the show Wakanda Whiskey and Blurdom, I'm gonna hear Paul talk to Mark about this artist who was doing the Conan the Barbarian. I'm gonna hear about that. Oh, side note, Paul, Jim Zub, the writer, on his website, did you know that he put your review there?
Yeah. I saw that. I showed that to Mark.
That was cool.
Very pleased with that. That was
Look
cool.
at you, Paul. Getting these
Nice to know
professionals
that
to shout you out.
we're not just about, as I said, it's not about just being black or white. It's about being good, and if you're good, good things happen. Be good.
And that's why Jim Zub is. It's that time of the show, friends. Let's hear from the Ally of the Week.
Oh hell no! Did you just
I
do
have
that?
the ally. I have the Ally of the Week drop. Yeah, Jim Zub.
You have the ally of the.
It's for the T'Challa stream where I would ask someone to say recast T'Challa. They'd give
Oh
me
my
like points.
god! Right up there with the child time.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Wow.
It's for my. No, the stream is called To Child Neglect because that child that they introduced at the end, the little Haitian kid.
You
that-
mean
he's
you mean
neglect.
the bastard?
Bastard?
You mean young T'Challa?
William Moloch says, "Yo, Chillmonger, here's $2. Last time I live streamed, he gave me $2. He gives me $2 again. It's a hustle. See, I'm just gonna go live stream just for like 5 minutes, get my $2 and hit the road. Thank you, William. Just gonna manipulate you till the end of time. Get my $2. Yeah. You know what though? He dropped a super sticker, so it's the one where we pound each other. Marklin, head up.
You gotta go up.
That was a
Thank you, William. And Ricardo the God. Mention of cartoons has reminded me to say that everyone should watch the Moon Girl Devil Dinosaur cartoon.
It was good.
Yes,
Watch it on Disney
absolutely.
Plus.
I watch
know
it with my daughter. I'm not allowed to watch it unless my daughter and I can watch it together. So we only watch it together.
Oh, look at that. I can't watch it in Canada. It's not on Disney Plus in Canada. I can find it on the internet though.
Ooh, get yourself a VPN. You'll be. Sorry, I
Yeah,
didn't
I
say
mean,
that.
internet's right there too. Internet's right there. I should probably see it and check it out. There's something else that I will want to say that you should watch. Bob Marley has a movie. Check out that.
One
One
love.
Love.
One
I
Love.
talked to somebody at
Yeah,
work about it
Jamaicans are
today.
protesting that.
No way. Why?
Well, I shouldn't say Jamaicans are protesting. That's unkind. Some Jamaicans have criticized the film for the fact that they didn't get enough. They didn't cast Jamaican actors in
Actors.
some of the key roles.
Okay.
It's
I
look,
mean,
It's acting.
But they were like, hey, we want people who represent our culture playing in these roles.
It's not just in the roles. It's just that particular. He's an icon. Like,
Well, Paul, my father's like, well, how
he's more
come
than
they
just
get
a
one of
singer. He's a cultural icon in Jamaica.
my father's like, why didn't they get one of Bob Marley's 20 million kids to play him? I said, well, why don't you ask Ziggy Marley who produced it? Why?
Right. There's that.
Yeah, that's a deal ender right there. Ziggy Marley produced it. What are you guys complaining about? Like,
Yeah, the family are the ones that rubber stamped it. So that's pretty much all that can be said about that.
I don't think that's a strong enough reason to, vote against seeing the movie or its success.
I just said criticism. I didn't say anything about banning
Yeah.
the movie or
that wasn't
I
directed
plan
at you.
on seeing the film.
Cool.
I'm very much looking forward to, because Bob Marley's a hero of mine. So yeah.
Well, there's an opinion right there. Let's see it and let's have our decision made.
Wow, this guy is just King's Portugal. Who is he? Is he one of your normal fans?
Is he one of me? Yeah, he's one of mine. You got something to say, huh?
I'm just saying, dude's like
He got incendiary comments.
exactly. He's got incendiary comments.
Entitled to his opinion.
Your
Question:
fans are spicy.
Since well, my fans are ethnic because he just gave me, what is this? The French currency?
Blurred Forever. What's up, man?
Blurred Forever just gave me 2 somethings. What is it?
£2.
That was £2.
He's
Oh, that
he's
was
over-
£2?
He's over in England. Yeah.
Hey,
He's in
appreciate that.
London.
Isn't it? £2, yeah? Like Ben Kingsley.
Mhm.
Benedict Kingsley is his name. Just
Yeah.
like Bob Marley's actor. Thank you.
Charles Stewart says, "Dang, now we're dividing into fan groups.
No, we're not doing that.
We're
Some
not
people was
dividing, man.
wondering.
We're joining.
Oh, there wasn't significant changes in Ultimate Black Panther? Just maybe because there doesn't need to be?
I
Maybe
mean, I thought it was going to be explained how Wakanda was still Wakanda with the Maker interfering and stuff.
Would it be significant because they were sleeping in different beds? Would it be significant if T'Challa isn't interested in women? Would that be a significant enough change to make him different?
Oh Lord.
That's for you, Jay. Because Wakanda was closed off and the Maker couldn't change anything there. Yeah. Why didn't the Maker make a change there? There's probably.
I mean, but I like that because that makes Wakanda say, hey, the Maker is basically Reed Richards gone evil. So I'm like, if Reed Richards gone evil couldn't get in Wakanda and change it, then that's a testament to Wakanda right there. Hey.
Reed Richards always considered T'Challa a peer, not someone he looked down to.
Ultimate,
not like Hank Pym, basically.
In the
Ultimate Reed Richards?
No. See, that when you say it like that, it upsets me because
the Maker knows.
It reminds me that the Ultimate Black Panther in the original Black Ultimate Universe was trash.
Okay. The Ultimate Maker, though, the Reed Richards from the Ultimate Universe, he knows what Wakanda is capable of in the 616.
And still didn't take him out.
I don't know I don't know why he wouldn't have done that or attempted to.
How do we know that he doesn't have plans already?
How do we know he didn't have a plan set in place? And Wakanda
exactly
decides to expose himself to the world.
Oh,
who's running Khonshu?
He's saying that I don't have to press this button until Wakanda involves itself with the rest. And so when that does happen, that's when
Wakanda's got a lot of valuable resources the Maker could put to his advantage.
And they're not bothering anyone. He doesn't need to work on them. He'll work on all the other superheroes. Wakanda will come later when they start becoming public.
Why waste resources destroying Wakanda when you can have Wakanda work for you?
Oh, or that, yeah. The Vodou Khan, maybe. The Maker would have went to Wakanda 100%. Vodou Khan, I'm telling you. We're ready to go, but you guys have a few more. Regular Reed Richards is evil, but on the down low.
Oh, you talked about
I
won't bring that up.
A lot of people hate on Reed Richards. I mean, I've seen Reed Richards' hate grow exponentially over the years. Like, this dude is trash.
Yeah, it was being brought up, yeah. That's my biggest disappointment from Ultimate. You would see some heavy fingerprinters of the Maker.
That's the whole point of the Maker is you don't see his fingerprints.
Huh.
Real bad boys move in silence, man.
Ooh, just like lasagna, the letter G. Subscribe to Black Comic Lords. Marklin Sigler, subscribe to the House of Nerd Show.
Yeah, but Paul got me on tape here, so I'm about to start rewriting.
You better. I look. I want 3 reviews by this weekend.
3 reviews this weekend. Give me the Sunday.
You
give me
have
the
enough material from what just dropped in the last 2 weeks to do at least 3 reviews.
I got you. You at least show again.
Sorry.
And subscribe to Chillmonger. Thanks for coming. Thanks to what's his name, Vonell.
Chillmonger's the dude.
Yeah, Chillmonger. You know,
I'm gonna
he's
find
chill,
you on
but he's
Twitter
also a
right now.
monger.
Yeah, I'm a chill and a monger. Hey, don't forget the monger part, guys. Support
No,
Nick.
I already found him on TikTok.
Support Marquise Draper. Support who you got to support. We out.